Chapter 596. Ce and Xiao Yunju walked into the house with a few people following behind them. These people were obviously movers, and at this moment they were moving box after box of packaged snacks from outside into the house. Yunjian was familiar with the last person to walk in. Wasn't this the owner of the store in Xinjiang town? Yunjian immediately recalled the scene on New Year's Day when Ce bought everything in the store in Xinjiang town in front of everyone. He had emptied the store of all the items. At that time, Ce had handed a bank card to the owner and asked him to pack up everything in the store and send it home. He would then return the bank card to him. Clearly, the owner had fulfilled his promise and sent all the things in the store over in trucks today. The items that the owner sent over were all snacks. Some daily necessities and other miscellaneous items in the store were not sent over. The owner walked into the house and checked the items. Then, under Xiao Yunju's expectant gaze, he returned the bank card to Ce and said to Ce, "I've already spent the money. I won't charge you even if you pay me 10 times the price. I only want the retail price. I, Old Wang, am upright and honest. I've always been magnanimous. I don't want more money from you. Also, I don't think you guys need the other things in the store, so I didn't pack them all up. These snacks should be enough to last you for a while." The owner explained. Actually, when Ce said that he wanted to buy everything in the store for 10 times the price, the owner was very shocked. However, the owner was never someone who liked to take advantage of others. He did not want more money from Ce. Okay. Ce admired the owner's integrity. He did not poke at the owner's integrity and took back the bank card. After the owner sent the piles of snacks over, he did not stay for long and left after saying goodbye. When the shop owner left, he took away the movers who came to move the things. Once the owner left, Xiao Yunju shouted happily, "Oh! Yay yay yay, so many lollipops, so many potato chips, brother Ce is the best." Xiao Yunju shook Ce's hand and rushed to the snacks. "You can't eat too much snacks, they're not nutritious. Xiao Zhu, you can only eat 3 things a day. You can't skip the main course just because you have snacks." Yunjian couldn't help but remind him. Okay. Yunju hugged the 3 packets of chips in his arms obediently and nodded, shaking them up and down. In fact, Xiao Yunju was very obedient. "It's time for breakfast. Wash your hands. Breakfast is ready." Qin Yiru walked out of the kitchen while rubbing her hands. However, as soon as she walked out, Qin Yiru was surprised by the boxes of snacks in front of her. So many snacks. Who bought them? Qin Yiru was shocked. "Mama Qin Sigij bought them for me." Xiao Yunju had already opened a bag of chips and was chewing on them noisily. "Hey, you're spending money again. Look at these snacks, Xiao Zhu can't finish them all." Qin Yiru smiled awkwardly. Qin Yiru did not know that Ce had bought everything in Xinjiang town, nor did she know about the relationship between Ce and Yunjian, which was why she felt awkward. After all, Xiao Yunju was part of her family and Ce had done so much for him. Chapter 597. Qin Yiru was dumbfounded when Gu Junjian arrived. That was odd. Why was it that Officer Gu did not have much to do in the military? Why did he keep coming to her house? In spite of it, Qin Yiru kept a smile on her face. Since he was a guest, she could not chase him away. "We haven't started yet. Come over quickly, Officer Gu." Yunjian waved with squinted eyes. Gu Junjian knew that Yunjian was creating an opportunity for him right away, so he went over quickly and said politely, "Then I'll have to trouble you." Qin Yiru, who had yet to make a decision, was speechless. It was only when Qin Yiru snapped out of it that she ran to the kitchen to get another set of cutlery for Gu Junjian. Then the group buried themselves in the food. Yunjian and her family were basically silent during the meal. After breakfast, Yunjian and Yunyi were ready to depart to Qin Yu's house to give their New Year's greetings. "Jejia, I want to go to Qin Yu Jejia's house to play too," Xiao Yunju said with a grin as he rubbed his tummy playfully and burped. "Xiao Jin, if there's nothing else, it's good to bring Xiao Zhu out for a walk. Otherwise, he'll be bored staying at home all day," Qin Yiru chimed in. "Okay." Yunjian nodded. She was going to Qin Yu's house to give her New Year's greetings as well as to have fun. Since she had nothing to do, she could bring Xiao Yunju with her and take him out for a stroll and sightsee. It was because Qin Yu's house was quite far from Longmen City. They had to cross provinces to reach it from Zhe Province's Longmen City. "Hehe, Jejia's the best." Xiao Yunju glanced at Yunjian with a grin, his face bobbing up and down in delight. "If Xiao Zhu goes, I'll go too," Ce interjected. Her words were irrefutable. Before Yunjian could say anything, Xiao Yunju, who had been bought over by Ce, laughed and clapped. "Brother Ce is going too. That's great. Awesome." Yunjian was speechless, but she smiled knowingly. Qin Yiru cleaned up the bowls and chopsticks, and Gu Junjian helped to clean up and carry them to the kitchen. In the end, Qin Yiru reminded Yun Jian good-naturedly, "Xiao Jian, be careful when you guys go out. There are a lot of bad guys out there, don't get fooled. Xiao Yi, you guys are the oldest here, take good care of Xiao Jian and Xiao Zhu. Andy, don't worry. I'll take good care of Xiao Jian and Xiao Zhu." Ce turned to Qin Yiru with a glimmer in his eyes. Ce paused when he said Xiao Jian. The meaning of take care was different. Qin Yiru, on the other hand, did not realize anything. "I'm relieved with Ai's promise." Qin Yiru smiled. By the time the bowls and chopsticks were cleared, Yun Jian and her friends had already left. Xiao Yunju even carried a small backpack, saying that they should not forget to do the homework assigned by the school teachers every day even when they were traveling. After Yun Jian and her friends left the house, Qin Yiru filled a basin with water and started mopping the floor. When she saw that Gu Junjian was still there, she suddenly remembered that Xiao Zhu had left as well. Was it not just her and Gu Junjian left under the roof? Just as she thought about it, Qin Yiru accidentally knocked the mop into the basin. With a splash, the water in the basin splashed out. Ah! Qin Yiru yelped in fright and slipped, stepping on the water that had spilled out of the basin, causing her to fall backward. "Watch out!" Gu Junjian dashed over from a dozen meters away. He was in his 40s but his physique was still strong. Chapter 598. Ouch! Qin Yiru fell hard on the ground. She had already closed her eyes, waiting for the intense pain when her heavy body landed on the ground. But who would have thought that the moment she landed on the ground, she did not feel any pain at all. It was as if she had fallen on a meat cushion. Meat cushion? Where did this meat cushion come from? Gu Junjian let out a heavy groan from her back. Qin Yiru quickly stood up. Just as she turned around, she saw that Gu Junjian had fallen on the ground and used himself as a meat cushion for her. Her eyes suddenly flashed. She quickly stood up and turned around. "Officer Gu, what are you doing?" Qin Yiru was shocked. She quickly ran over to help Gu Junjian up. "Hey, I'm fine. I'm still healthy. It's not a problem," Gu Junjian said stubbornly. Then he knocked on his back where Qin Yiru was lying on and asked Qin Yiru, "Are you okay? Are you hurt anywhere?" I'm fine," Qin Yiru said and turned around. If Gu Junjian looked carefully, he could even see that Qin Yiru's eyes were filled with tears. Qin Yiru did this because she was touched. Although her son and daughter were filial, they could not stay by her side all the time. Gu Junjian was not related to her, but he would rather protect her than get hurt. Qin Yiru was very touched. Very touched. She even felt that if Yun Gang had treated her 1/10 as well as Gu Junjian, she might have been able to spend the rest of her life with Yun Gang. Don't cry. What's wrong?" Gu Junjian naturally realized that Qin Yiru was carrying him. Her tears fell down. He was so shocked that his face froze. He was at a loss. "No, it's nothing. Officer Gu, I suddenly thought of my ex-husband. If my ex-husband could be even 1/10 as good as you, I would be willing to spend the rest of my life with him." Qin Yiru's eyes were brimming with tears. "Am I that good?" "I'm not as good as you say. If I were that good, my ex-wife wouldn't have divorced me." Gu Junjian was shocked. Then he felt a little sad after hearing what Qin Yiru said. "Officer Gu, don't talk about yourself like that. In the eyes of us women, you are the best husband. Your ex-wife didn't have foresight. Otherwise, how could she leave you who is so outstanding? If it were me, I wouldn't leave you even if you beat me to death." Since they had talked about it, Qin Yiru opened her heart and began to talk freely. "Then why don't we get married?" Gu Yunjian's next words shocked Qin Yiru. Qin Yiru was stunned for 3 seconds. She finally opened her mouth and said blankly, Officer Gu, please don't joke around." Gu Junjian took the opportunity to hold Qin Yiru's hand and said to Qin Yiru, "I'm not joking. We're not young anymore. Our children are growing up soon. If you're willing, let's get married and spend the rest of our lives together. If you don't agree, I, Gu Junjian, won't force you." Qin Yiru hesitated when she saw the sincerity in Gu Yunjian's eyes. "All right, I won't force you. Yiru, think about it." Gu Junjian laughed and became serious again. "But I'm serious about this. We've been through this before, even though we haven't known each other for long. I'll wait for your answer." As he spoke, Gu Junjian helped Qin Yiru clean up the water stains on the floor. After he tidied up everything, he bade her farewell and left. Qin Yiru, on the other hand, fell into a deep silence. Honestly, it was not that she did not have feelings for Gu Junjian. Although she and Gu Junjian had not known each other for long, the chemistry between them was unusually good when they chatted with each other. Some people did not need to know each other well, but they were born as if they were old friends who had known each other for decades. Chapter 599. Now that Gu Junjian had divorced his ex-wife and she was divorced from Yun Gang, there was no way she would reconcile with Yun Gang again. Now that there was such a great opportunity before her, of course, she would not miss it. Qin Yiru was someone who had lived half her life and could read people's minds. To Yun Gang and the others, she might be a good tool to earn money, but to Gu Junjian, who was in a high position, he would not gain anything from her. It was apparent that Gu Junjian truly had such intentions. Qin Yiru did not think that she was the kind of person who would cling to power. She did not care how high Gu Junjian's position was. She really thought that she could get along well with Gu Junjian. Now that Xiao Jian and Xiao Yi were grown up, their children would have to leave sooner or later. Qin Yiru thought that if she were to find a partner in the future, she would have to find someone who was compatible with Gu Junjian. She could not marry someone she was dissatisfied with. It was undeniable that Qin Yiru wanted to agree to Gu Junjian's suggestion right away. After all, it was not like she had no feelings for Gu Junjian. However, Qin Yiru was afraid that if she agreed, what if Xiao Jian and Xiao Yi did not agree to it? Therefore, Qin Yiru thought that she would ask for Yun Jian and Yun Yi's opinion when they came back. On the other hand, Yun Jian, Yun Yi, Ce, and Xiao Yunju had already stepped out of the house. At the same time, F Province's military training camp. Chief Yuan was Gu Junjian and Ai Guixuan's commanding officer. He was also F Province's commanding officer, so his position was the same as Zhe Province's commanding officers. Currently, in F Province's military training camp, Chief Yuan had gathered Ai Guixuan and the other captains of the advanced special forces in his office. Officer Yuan, why did you summon us in such a hurry? Is there a secret mission? A tall and muscular man asked Officer Yuan. In this office, Officer Yuan's position was the highest. Ai Guixuan, who had rushed here after receiving the notice, was rather confused as well. Officer Yuan was standing on the podium. His dark eyes scanned the audience, and then he said in a serious tone, I heard that our F Province's army was also invited to the mission to eliminate the Inferno Ring. Why didn't you join in the end? Who was the one who came to such a conclusion without consulting me? The group of officers sitting below looked left and right. Ai Guixuan suddenly stepped forward and said, It's me, it's me. He was the one who rejected Yun Jian's invitation and refused to work with Han and Kosha mercenaries. Today it was most likely that the idiot Gu Junjian had brought his men to work with the unreliable organizations like Han and Kosha mercenaries. In the end they were all wiped out, right? In any case, he would rather die than believe that Gu Junjian's army could really wipe out the Inferno Ring. The Inferno Ring has been wiped out. There were 3 batches of men who wiped out the Inferno Ring, Han and Kosha mercenaries. These 2 organizations were powerful, so the people in the underworld had nothing to say. But there was another group that I didn't expect. They were the 10 teams of advanced special forces led by Zhe Province's Gu Junjian. Right now, Zhe Province's army is famous even internationally, let alone in Z Nation. I heard that our army was invited as well, but you refused to join? Ai Guixuan, oh Ai Guixuan, how dare you decide on such an important matter without informing me? Chief Yuan pointed at Ai Guixuan and scolded him. Chapter 600. How is it impossible? Chief Yuan yelled and grabbed a handful of newspapers in front of him, smashing it on Ai Guixuan's face. Take a good look. Take a good look. Who doesn't know that Inferno Ring has been annihilated? This has caused a huge uproar internationally. Chief Yuan raised his voice. With that, Gu Junjian's military gained a great reputation. Even the key international military forces were throwing a football at Gu Junjian's 10 ASF squads. Even if Gu Junjian's 10 ASF squads were not that powerful, they had participated in the annihilation of Inferno Ring. With such a thing in place, his future was bound to be limitless. This was what Chief Yuan resented. Ai Guixuan had rejected Yun Jian's invitation for such an important matter. If it were not for Officer Bao who reported it to him, he would probably still be in the dark. Ai Guixuan quickly picked up the newspaper and skimmed through it. His attention was drawn to the bright red words at the top of the page. Shocking. The internationally renowned assassin organization, Inferno Ring, was annihilated by 3 different forces. The eye-catching line of bright red words on the front page made Ai Guixuan's heart skip a beat. Suppressing his shock, Ai Guixuan quickly took the newspaper and read under the bright red words. The officers present could clearly see Ai Guixuan's complexion slowly turning from rosy to pale. How is this possible? Inferno Ring has really been annihilated? Ai Guixuan's hand that held the newspaper trembled violently as he recounted the most terrifying thing in disbelief. The annihilation of Inferno Ring was all because of Yun Jian's words. Yun Jian, on the other hand, was only a member of the Advanced Special Forces. Ai Guishuan, go home and reflect on yourself. Chief Yuan was pissed off no matter how he looked at Ai Guishuan. He snorted and turned to leave the place. The officers around them avoided Ai Guishuan like he was the plague when they saw Chief Yuan scolding Ai Guishuan. Judging from Ai Guishuan's reaction, it was not hard to imagine how the 7 members of Battling Dragons would react when they found out. Yunjian, she was close to their age, but what was the truth? Her ability was something that none of them could compare to even if they were to combine their abilities together. On the other hand, Yunjian, who had just left home while holding Xiao Yunju's hand, brought her brother Yunyi and Ce to New Cruise. Yunjian did not plan to take the bus to Qing Yu's house. She planned to drive there. Of course, it would be troublesome if she was caught by the traffic police at her age without a driver's license. Therefore, Yunjian decided not to drive herself. She asked Ce to drive. Ce's Lamborghini only had 2 seats. Actually, it was not limited to just 2 seats. There were back seats in his supercar, but the space was smaller and there was no door at the back. There was only one way to climb to the back seat: step on the front seat and jump to the back. Yunjian and Xiao Yunju were small in size, so Yunjian carried Xiao Yunju to the back seat first before hopping onto the back seat herself easily. The back seat was small, but it was enough for Yunjian and Xiao Yunju. Sis, are we driving to Sis Qing Yu's house? Xiao Yunju tilted his head and asked Yunjian. Chapter 601. Oh. Xiao Yunju bobbed his head and nodded at once. After Ce and Yunyi got into the driver's seat, Ce started the engine and the car sped off like a bolt of lightning. Yunyi was feeling a little uneasy at the moment. He could not help feeling nervous about going to Qing Yu's house and meeting her elders. Yunjian, on the other hand, was looking forward to it. She had never been to Qing Yu's house, but she knew the address. Qing Yu's house was in Pu Province's Xian City. It was not actually in Xian City but in the countryside near the mountains in Xian City, a place called Luo Village. It was a very poor and desolate place, but it was Qing Yu's home. In her past life, Yunjian only knew that Qing Yu came from the countryside, but she had never been to Qing Yu's house. Qing Yu was abducted from the countryside. It was said that she was abducted by human traffickers. Qing Yu was not young then and was at the age where she could remember things. Snake. Lizard took a fancy to Qing Yu's talent and taught her the art of poison. Due to her talent, Yunjian took her in to work for her. When Qing Yu was capable, it was not difficult for her to find her home due to her childhood memories. Before they came, Yunjian picked out a few items that could be used for New Year's greetings from the pile of snacks sent by the shop owner and brought them along. These items were not actually worth much. If Qing Yu wanted them, she could buy them in bulk with her wealth. In spite of it, Yunjian knew that the people of Country Z focused on socializing during the new year. Gifts did not need to be expensive as long as there was sincerity. Therefore, Yunjian did not plan to buy anything that was too expensive. The car took the highway from Longmen City and drove for 7 to 8 hours before they arrived at Xian City. It was a long journey and it took a lot of time to travel from Xian City to Luo Village. It was only when they arrived at Luo Village's entrance that Yunjian shook Xiao Yunju awake. Jie, have we arrived? Xiao Yunju rubbed his round eyes that had just woken up and asked. Yes. Yunjian nodded and replied. Since she did not know how to get to Qing Yu's house, Yunjian asked for the house number first. As for Ce's Lamborghini, it was parked at the entrance of Luo Village. Luo Village was not rich. The roads in Luo Village had not been paved yet. Not to mention cement roads, there were potholes everywhere. It was not suitable for driving at all. I don't know where her house is. Let's follow the house number, Yunjian said as she picked up a box of instant noodles. In this day and age, there were only a few kinds of New Year's gifts: a box of drinks or a box of instant noodles. Rich people would give pecans and even richer people would give torreya. Chapter 602. As soon as the girl who resembled Qing Yu finished speaking, the group of young men and women around them burst into laughter. Qing Yu, who was washing clothes at the front yard, was unmoved. The girl was none other than Qing Yu's biological sister from the same father and mother, Lu Qi. Qing Yu's original name was Lu Xn before she was abducted. Qing Yu was only her code name. When Yunjian saw Qing Yu, she was still washing a big basin of clothes at the front yard. The basin was filled with clothes and there was a washboard beside it. Qing Yu was currently washing a piece of clothing. All 4 of them could hear Lu Qi's voice. With a frown, Yunjian led the trio over to her side in quick strides. Get her out. Get out of our house. Get out of our house. It's all her fault that Mom died. It's all her fault. If she wasn't playful back then, she wouldn't have been abducted. Mom wouldn't have died. Yun Jian and the rest were already at the front door when furious curses came from the house. Then a young man of about 18 or 19 ran out of the house. There was an old man in his 50s or 60s following behind him. The old man dragged the young man who had just cursed out sorrowfully, limping out while tugging on the young man's sleeve. Yun Jian's eyes glinted. She did not know much about Qing Yu's family. Qing Yu had only found her home in the recent 2 years. After she found her home, Qing Yu would return home during every festival, but she would return to the kosher mercenaries soon. Yun Jian did not know much about her, and it was her first time at Qing Yu's house, so she was surprised to see this. "Dad, your leg hasn't recovered yet. How can you walk?" Qing Yu saw the old man tugging on the young man's sleeve as he ran out. She stood up and went to the old man without a word. The old man was none other than Qing Yu's biological father, Lu Tai. He was an authentic farmer. Luo village had no other source of income. Most of the villagers here relied on nature for a living. They would farm and plow the land. After the harvest they would sell it for money. "Scram, I don't need your hypocrisy." The young man suddenly pushed Qing Yu away and scolded her. Qing Yu was pushed hard. She was used to her steady gait and did not fall to the ground, but her heart felt like it was being pricked by needles. "My Xiaoxin." Qing Yu's biological father, Lu Tai, wiped away his tears and walked to Qing Yu. "Brother, I'll call uncle over to judge. This kind of person still dares to stay in our house." Lu Qi spat at Qing Yu and said to the young man. Then she gathered her friends and ran out to look for them. The young man who had cursed earlier was Qing Yu's biological brother, Lu Ziyun. Qing Yu had 3 children. Lu Ziyun was the elder brother, Lu Qi was the elder sister, and Lu Xan was Qing Yu's real name. Lu Tai was Qing Yu's biological father, while Qing Yu's biological mother was no longer alive. Qing Yu was disobedient when she was young. She insisted on going out to play because she was about 7 to 9 years old then. She wanted to play hide and seek with her mother but was abducted. Qing Yu's mother saw Qing Yu being abducted into a van. By the time she chased after them, the van had already driven away. Since then, Qing Yu's mother had lost her appetite for food and became haggard. As a mother, Qing Yu's mother and Lu Tai had never given up on searching for their lost daughter. Chapter 603. After Qing Yu went missing, her parents had spent almost all of their fortune to find her. They were poor, but Lu Tai and his wife, who was Qing Yu's mother, had never given up on searching for their missing daughter. Those who had not experienced it would never be able to understand. Seeing a living person disappear forever in his own world, knowing that she was still alive, but there was no one to respond to his cries. The feeling was even worse than knowing that she was dead. Especially if you were captured by human traffickers. You would never know where you would be taken and what you would be done after being captured by human traffickers. Children from Luo village were often abducted. Some might even be taken into the car and driven away. Some of the children who were taken away would have their limbs chopped off, or even their eyes gouged out, making them half-crippled. Then the traffickers would put the crippled children in a lively market and make up a series of stories, so that passers-by would take pity on the crippled children and give them money to them. The children would grow up gradually. Many of the elderly and children begging in the market could not speak and were controlled by the human traffickers. Of course, the pitiful money from begging on the streets would eventually be taken away by the despicable human traffickers. However, if one saw these poor children or elderly on the streets, one must lend a helping hand because 1 yuan or 5 yuan might save them from a brutal beating. This kind of thing happened frequently even in modern times, let alone in 1998 and 1999. What was different was that Qing Yu was abducted directly to the organization. She was lucky enough to survive and was chosen by Snake Lizard instead. She survived due to her talent. Of course, there were only a handful of people who were as lucky as Qing Yu. When Qing Yu's mother heard that someone in the village had seen a girl who looked like Qing Yu kneeling on the road in Xan City, begging blindly, as a mother, she rushed to Xan City without a word. She did not even inform Qing Yu's father Lu Tai about it. It was still night then. The sky was dark and it was raining. When she reached Xan City, Qing Yu's mother accidentally stepped on a construction site of a sewer in her haste. The construction workers probably thought that no one would walk around at night, so they did not even put up a warning sign. In the end, Qing Yu's mother lost her footing and fell because she was in a hurry. By the time he was fished up again, he was already cold. Lu Ziyun and Lu Qi hated their little sister to the core. She had lost her mother at such a young age and had died just like that. It was not long before Qing Yu came back in one piece. How could he not be angry? How could he not hate him? Scram. Get lost. Get lost. Get lost. Now that our family is living well, why did you come back? How could she have the face to come back? Wasn't it enough that he killed his mother? Do you want to kill my dad too? Lu Xian, get lost. You don't deserve to be surnamed Lu. Lu Ziyun's emotions were raging as he pointed at Qin Yu and scolded. Unlike Lu Qi, Lu Ziyun's relationship with his mother was the deepest. Lu Ziyun scolded Qin Yu because his mother's death was indirectly related to Qin Yu. Lu Qi hated Qin Yu as well, but the main reason she hated her was because she was afraid that Qin Yu would come back and steal her brother and father's love from her. The more Lu Ziyun spoke, the more resentful he felt. His face was flushed and he reached out to slap Qin Yu. Qin Yu did not resist. If one looked closely, her eyes were already wet. Chapter 604. Lu Ziyun's hand that was about to slap Qin Yu's cheek was stopped by Yun Jian. His expression was sour. Ce and the other two girls had come over as well. Ce held Xiao Yunju with one hand and placed the box of instant noodles on the floor with the other. Yun Yi placed the Wangzai milk on the floor as fast as he could. His brows were locked in a frown, having heard how Lu Ziyun and Lu Qi had spoken to Qin Yu. How could Yun Yi not be pissed when the person he missed was standing right in front of him and she was crying? Yun Yi went over and stood in front of Qin Yu, blocking Lu Ziyun's path. And who are you? Lu Ziyun's tone turned haughty when he saw Yun Jian out of the blue. Lu Ziyun gave off the vibe of a hooligan to begin with. Not to mention there was a tattoo on his collarbone. Combined with the tattoo below his collarbone, it wasn't hard to tell that his tattoo was a dragon. Lu Ziyun was already 18 or 19 years old, but he had quit school long ago. Now he was in Xian City's underworld, working with gangs and earning some money. Although Lu Ziyun looked like a gangster, he was not such a person to begin with, nor was he such a degenerate. Ever since his mother passed away in an accident, however, he had become what he was today. Lu Tai's hair had already turned white. After his youngest daughter, Lu Xin, went missing, he and his wife had been searching for her day and night. At the same time, they had to rely on their meager income to survive. His eldest son had fallen since his mother passed away and even picked up some bad habits. His eldest daughter was the only one who was somewhat obedient. Ever since his wife passed away, Lu Tai had not been living a peaceful life until today. It was then that his youngest daughter came back on her own. Here came the dilemma. He could forgive his youngest daughter for her ignorance when she was young, but his son and eldest daughter would not agree. What could Lu Tai do? As the child's parent, he was the most troubled. Sister Jian. Qin Yu could no longer hold back the tears in her eyes when she saw Yun Jian and Yun Yi, who suddenly appeared in front of her to shield her. Even Qin Yu, a high-ranking member of the Kosha mercenaries, who could still stand calmly in front of Yun Jian and call them impudent, when facing the group of old men from the Kosha mercenaries earlier, could not resist the friction of kinship. Don't cry, we're here. Yun Yi suddenly turned around. He reached out to gently wipe away the tears at the corner of Qin Yu's eyes. Qin Yu nodded. Actually, Qin Yu was already immune to the way Lu Ziyun and the others treated her. She knew that this was her own fault for being disobedient when she was young, and she should bear the consequences. Hence, Qin Yu had never retaliated against Lu Ziyun's scoldings and beatings. Her biological mother had also died because of her. Qin Yu was not a heartless person. However, when she saw Yun Jian and Yun Yi standing in front of her, especially when Yun Jian stood in front of her and said, "She's mine. How dare you hit her?" Qin Yu could not hold back her tears and they fell. I don't *king care who you are. This is my family's business anyway. You outsiders are not allowed to butt in. Lu Ziyun guffawed. Ce was standing on the side, holding the hand of Xiao Yunju, who was shaking his head in bewilderment, but he did not say anything. It was not appropriate for him to intervene in such matters. Chapter 605. Other than his younger sister Yun Jian and his mother Qin Yuru, this was the first time Yun Yi had cursed for a woman. Yun Yi had always been an excellent student. Whether it was in Xinjiang town or DE Senior High School, he had always been a model student in his teachers' hearts. He had good grades, treated others sincerely, and was polite to others. However, he had broken his bottom line to protect Qin Yu from being bullied. If Yun Yi's best friend Su Haokol was here, he would probably be screaming in shock. After all, Yun Yi's usual personality had changed for Qin Yu's sake. What? Lu Ziyun's finger that was pointing at Qin Yu retracted immediately. He could not believe that Qin Yu had a man now. How old was she? Lu Xian. You have a man now? How old are you now? You're still in junior high? You're with a man. I say, why did you only stay here for a few days before leaving? So you ran away with a man. Off to live a good life. You despise our family now, don't you? Father and mother missed you so much that they couldn't even eat and drink. What about you? Why didn't you come back when you could? You killed my mother, you harmed our whole family. Why did you come back now? Scram, there's no such person in the Lu family. Scram. Lu Ziyun had completely misunderstood as he roared again. This time he was even harsher to Qingyu. Actually, Lu Ziyun had misunderstood something from the beginning. He hated Qingyu for insisting that his mother bring her out to play, but she was about to be abducted. That was fine. It was not unforgivable. Lu Ziyun remembered clearly that when Qingyu came back, she was dressed neatly and tidily. She did not look like she had been abducted by human traffickers at all. Lu Ziyun did not hate Qingyu so much earlier. After all, she was still young when she was abducted. Lu Ziyun's hatred was because Qingyu was dressed neatly when she came back. His mother had been so worried about finding Qingyu and his younger sister who had been abducted at such a young age that she did not even eat or drink. In the end, she accidentally fell into the sewer that was still under construction and drowned. What about Qingyu? She came back clean and tidy, clean and tidy. She did not look like she had been through any hardships. This time Lu Ziyun was thoroughly enraged. Since she was alive and well, living a lively life, unlike other abducted children who were missing arms and legs, why didn't they find her earlier? Why did they not come back earlier? If he had found her earlier, then his mother wouldn't have died. He wouldn't have gone to Xan City to look for her in the middle of the night just because he heard a rumor from the villagers. In the end, he tripped on a construction site and fell into the sewers and drowned. That was why Lu Ziyun was filled with hatred. He hated the fact that Qingyu had destroyed his entire family after being abducted while she returned safely. Humans had emotions. To be honest, Lu Ziyun had never hated Qingyu even when his mother died because he knew that his sister was innocent. He knew that she had no choice when she was abducted. However, when Qingyu came back, she was dressed neatly. He asked her where she had been all these years, but she did not say a word. Thus Lu Ziyun was enraged. He hated this sister of his to the core. Just by looking at Qingyu's attire, Lu Ziyun naturally thought that she had been enjoying herself all these years or that she had been adopted by a rich family. In short, he thought that she had never suffered. Chapter 606. Yunyi held Qingyu's hand gently. Qingyu's hands were shaking uncontrollably. Whether it was Qingyu, Yunjian, or Ce and Yunyi who were present, all of them could hear it. Lu Ziyun hated Qingyu. He probably hated that she had been enjoying herself all these years. He hated that she was enjoying life while they were at home, worried that she would suffer outside. In the end, his mother had died searching for Qingyu. What about Qingyu? Their entire family was worried about their younger sister's life. Qingyu, on the other hand, was enjoying life outside while nothing changed when she returned. To Lu Ziyun, however, he had lost his mother. His most beloved mother. Perhaps Lu Ziyun was not wrong to think so. If she were to put herself in Lu Ziyun's shoes, the mother he loved the most had left him forever because of his long-lost younger sister. Perhaps it was not a hopeless situation, but the worst part was that his younger sister had suddenly returned one day. She was dressed to the nines when she returned but refused to tell where she had been all these years. Under such circumstances, other than the fact that she had been enjoying life for so many years and only returned home because she missed home, what else could it be? Stop it. Stop it. Xiaoyun, for Dad's sake, please stop it. Lu Tai stretched out his hand, his face paralyzed in pain. To Lu Tai, his wife was the love of his life, but because of his younger daughter they were separated by life and death. However, he did not resent it because his younger daughter was his own flesh and blood. How could he feel good when he saw how his son treated his younger daughter? Eldest uncle, second uncle, youngest uncle, this is the place. She has enjoyed her life outside and now she wants to go home. My mother must have died in vain. At this time, Lu Qi had returned with a large group of people. Other than the group of teenagers who had come to watch the show, there was also a group of adults who had followed Lu Qi back. Most of the adults were Lu Tai's relatives. Most of the relatives and friends in the countryside were from the countryside. Very few of them had left the countryside. There was only one way to leave the countryside in this era: get into a university and get a decent and stable job in the future. Therefore, when Lu Qi ran out and shouted, all the relatives who were working in the fields came to the house. In particular, the villagers were united. A group of people immediately threw down their hoes and ran over before plowing the land. What happened? What's the matter? A middle-aged man who was standing at the front stepped forward arrogantly. Uncle, she's my younger sister, Lu Xn, whom I brought home not long ago. Look at what she's wearing. She must have enjoyed a good life all these years. My mother passed away while looking for her, but she's living a good life all these years. Now that she's back, she's begging for our forgiveness. Lu Qi glared at Qingyu with hatred. Qing Yu opened her mouth, chilling her heart in front of this group of relatives who were originally close to her but were now glaring at her menacingly. I didn't? In the end, Qing Yu could only utter such words. You're still denying it? Then why don't you tell me where you went after you were abducted? Other than enjoying life, what else can I do to you? Lu Qi pointed at Qing Yu, unforgiving. Lu Ziyun glared at Qing Yu with the same hateful gaze. Lu Tai's pained expression broke Qing Yu's heart. These were her relatives. Shut up, all of you. None of you have the right to talk about her like that. Yun Jian reprimanded loudly. Her loud voice shocked everyone present. Don't have the right? How was she unworthy? She was just going to enjoy life. Lu Qi continued through clenched teeth. Yun Jian was enraged now. She had Yun Yi step back while she walked to Qing Yu. She pulled Qing Yu's delicate hand and showed everyone her arm that was covered in scars that should have been smooth and fair. Enjoy life? This is the first time I've heard that someone would be covered in scars while enjoying life. After exposing her arm, Yun Jian turned Qing Yu around. She did not expose Qing Yu's body as she tore her clothes from her back to reveal her back that was covered in scars and bruises. Scars from knives and spears were all over Qing Yu's back. The new and old scars were mixed together, a ghastly sight. Chapter 607. Come to think of it, you guys don't deserve this blessing, Yun Jian said, her deep gaze scanning the crowd. With that, she pulled the corner of Qing Yu's shirt down to cover her back again. Yun Jian did not want to do anything, but she could not bear to watch Lu Ziyun and the others misunderstand Qing Yu and watch her suffer but unable to voice out her pain. Did she not know what was on Qing Yu's mind? Of course, Qing Yu dared not say it out loud. Was she going to say that she took so long to come back because she only had the capability now? Was it because she dared not come back? Qing Yu had some influence and status in the world. Of course, the stronger one was in this world, the more enemies they had. If Qing Yu came home before she was capable enough, Lu Tai, Lu Ziyun, and the others would probably be killed by the people in this world. It was because Qing Yu did not have the ability to protect them at that time. How did this happen? Yun Yi was shocked by Qing Yu's exposed scars as well. It was not because of her scars but because his heart ached at the sight of so many scars on Qing Yu's body. Yun Yi had been naked with Qing Yu before, but Yun Yi dared not look at her directly. Moreover, most of Qing Yu's scars were on her back. There were wounds on her arms too, but not many. Therefore, it was Yun Yi's first time seeing so many scars. He did not look at Qing Yu's back just now. In his eyes, other than his Shao Jian, no other woman could catch his eye. He didn't even bother to look at her. Lu Tai was still lingering on the edge of pain and grief. To Lu Tai, his wife's death was a heavy blow. Now that his daughter was back, he was happy, but other than that, it was not like he did not feel anything. Lu Tai was a human being as well. If he were to put himself in his shoes, his closest and most important person had passed away in search of his daughter who had been missing for years. In the end, his daughter came back a few years later, wearing branded clothes. It was obvious that she had not suffered much. When he asked her where she had been, she clenched her teeth and refused to say anything. Lu Tai would overthink as well, but the only difference between him and Lu Ziyun was that he would empathize with Qing Yu. He would always think that Qing Yu had her reasons. He would never believe that his own daughter would do something like that, to enjoy life on her own and only come back when she was homesick. As it turned out, Qing Yu did have her reasons. When Yun Jian exposed the scars on Qing Yu's body, everyone present, they were shocked. The scars on Qing Yu's back were so densely packed that it sent chills down one's spine just by looking at them. The scars on her back, around her heart, stab wounds after stab wounds to show how much she had tried her best to crawl from the brink of death and survive. Everyone's too. What kind of person was he to be able to survive the ordeal of receiving so many fatal injuries? How old was Qing Yu? How much willpower did she rely on to not choose to die right away? How much inhumane treatment did she have to endure? Tears welled up in Lu Tai's old eyes. He opened his mouth and limped toward Qing Yu, wobbling. It was a long time before he managed to speak. My Shao X. How did this happen? My child, you've suffered. Tears streamed down his face as he spoke. Dad. For some reason, Qing Yu felt like crying today. She had been in an assassin training camp and had been baptized as an assassin. All of this was before she met Yun Jian. She had been shot and stabbed. Which time did she not grit her teeth and persevere through it? When had she ever shed a tear? Chapter 608. Qing Yu hugged Lu Tai tightly. This was the warmth of kinship, the dissolution of misunderstandings. Qing Yu was comforted after despair and regret. She could feel that although Lu Tai had resented her before, Lu Tai would not hate her because he was her father. Good child, you've suffered. Lu Tai's eyes were tear-stained, showing his age. Yun Jian smiled, but there was a trace of bitterness in it. Had she not gone through the same thing? How could she not understand Qin Yu's pain? Her body before she was reborn had suffered more injuries than Qin Yu. Qin Yu had only stayed in the assassin training camp for a few months before she was taken away by Snake Lizard. These few months were hell on earth. Yun Jian, on the other hand, had survived for 6 to 7 years in the assassin training camp with her own abilities. It was only when she was 12 that she officially debuted as Slaying God. Before that, the assassin training that she had gone through was unimaginable to a normal person. The winner was king while the loser was a bandit. This was reflected in the assassin's training. If you were weak, you could only die. Among the hundreds of children, those who survived these 6 to 7 years could be counted with one hand. Yun Jian was the strongest among the 5 who survived. She was the pinnacle of her ability. Yun Jian only found out later that she had lost her parents and only had her younger brother. If she had parents, she would have gone back to them like Qin Yu. Her predicament back then might have been worse than Qin Yu's. However, when Yun Jian in her past life returned home, her parents had already passed away, leaving only her younger brother, Yun Zhu. As Yun Jian pondered, Yun Yi stood aside with clenched fists. He swore that he would never let Qin Yu suffer again. He had to become stronger and protect her. However, Lu Ziyun, Lu Qi, the group of young men and women that Lu Qi had brought along, including the relatives that Lu Qi had called over, were all rooted to the spot in shock when they saw Qin Yu's scar. They didn't make a sound, didn't speak because they were stunned. Lu Ziyun in particular was rooted to the spot. Lu Ziyun hated Qin Yu, but it was not because she had been abducted by human traffickers when she was young. He hated it because his mother had died because of Qin Yu, and Qin Yu had returned in all her glory, as if she had enjoyed enough and had returned to beg for forgiveness. Lu Ziyun admitted that his thoughts had been extreme because of his mother's death. However, when all the misunderstandings were cleared, his heart still ached. Lu Ziyun had memories of Qin Yu before she was abducted. She was his biological sister after all. His mother was his dearest family, and so was his sister. He still remembered that his mother had once said that apart from his parents, his 2 younger sisters were his closest relatives. Now that he saw Qin Yu suffering so many injuries, his heart was pained as well. A person's heart was complicated. When he saw Qin Yu's back that was filled with scars, Lu Ziyun could not bring himself to harden his heart. He walked slowly toward Qin Yu but paused before asking, Lu Xian, what have you been doing all these years? Why did you injure yourself all over? There was an obvious change in Lu Ziyun's attitude. Of course, it was impossible for him to change completely after so many years of not seeing Qin Yu and being used to treating her fiercely. Qin Yu wiped away her silent tears, still hesitating if she should say it out loud. Chapter 609. The truth was that Lu Qi and her friends who did not look like good people shuddered when they saw the scars all over Qin Yu. To be able to endure such a heavy injury was indeed not something that an ordinary person could endure. Yet what was the point? From Lu Qi's perspective, her younger sister's return was to steal her brother and father's love. Since Qin Yu's return, her father, Lu Tai, had given her all the good food, treating her like a treasure, afraid that she would hurt herself. In fact, the reason Lu Tai treated Qin Yu so well was because he still felt guilty that his daughter had suffered a lot even after she had been abducted by human traffickers for so many years. He did not take good care of her back then. Lu Qi actually had no feelings for his younger sister, Qin Yu, at all. After all, Lu Qi was only a little over 10 years old when Qin Yu was abducted. She was only a year older than Qin Yu. A little over 10 years old was the age where one could remember things. From Lu Qi's perspective, her mother and father had always doted on her since she had a younger sister, giving her all the good food and toys when she was young. To be honest, Lu Qi had hated Qin Yu since she was young. It was also due to this reason that she did not feel upset when she found out that Qin Yu was abducted. Instead, she was secretly happy. Now that her younger sister was abducted, she could receive all the love from her parents. Reality proved this. After Qin Yu, who was also Lu Xian, was abducted, Lu Qi's parents doted on Lu Qi even though they had lost their appetite. It was because Lu Tai and his late wife realized that it was their fault for letting their younger daughter be abducted. Therefore, the only reason they insisted on staying alive was to take good care of their other daughter and their son. Lu Qi grew up under her parents' care. Although Luo village was a rural village and its economic development was backward, Lu Tai had never let his daughter and son suffer at all. Lu Ziyun had fallen from grace ever since his mother had passed away. Lu Tai had endured all these hardships with tears in his eyes. His wife was gone. If he were to degenerate as well, how could this family survive? When Qin Yu appeared, Lu Qi immediately felt that her father's love for her was threatened. Lu Tai took good care of her younger sister who seemed to have suffered for years outside, even giving her things to her long-lost sister. This made Lu Qi think that Qin Yu had returned to snatch away her happiness. Xiao Qi, shut up. How can you say such things? In fact, Lu Ziyun's heart ached when he saw the wound on Qin Yu's back. He could not help but growl at Lu Qi when he heard what Lu Qi said. Qin Yu Qing was his younger sister no matter what, his biological sister. Furthermore, Lu Ziyun had a long memory. He remembered the past between him and his little sister. There were feelings. Chapter 6:10. If she hadn't been so playful when she was young and insisted on going out to play, would she have been abducted by human traffickers? Would our mother have died so innocently? Brother, what's wrong with you? Why are you speaking up for her? Lu Qi glared at Qin Yu angrily before gritting her teeth at Lu Ziyun. The wounds on Qin Yu's back and hands did not prove anything. The people present would not even think that Qin Yu's wounds were left behind when she was an assassin or when she was on a mission. Luo village only had a few hundred families. The population was small. It was rare for Luo village's people to make a trip to Xian City, especially at the end of the 90s when transportation was gradually being developed and public transportation was available. However, how could one make a trip from Luo village to Xian City or even a long journey without money? The people of Luo village relied on farming to support their families. All their wealth came from selling the harvests in the fields and gradually accumulating it. Therefore, in comparison, the people of Luo village did not know much. They knew what assassins and secret agents were, but the villagers of Luo village would never have guessed that Qin Yu was abducted to be trained as an assassin. In comparison, the closest thing to reality was what Lu Qi said. Qin Yu was indeed beautiful. Although Qin Yu had a baby face, her features were delicate and delicate. Her nose bridge was high, and her small face had a unique charm to it. If the people present were to explain the scars on Qin Yu's body, the most convincing explanation for what Qin Yu had been doing during her disappearance was that she was working as a prostitute in a brothel. It was not like there was no precedent for a girl in the village being abducted. Moreover, Qin Yu was beautiful and covered in wounds. Girls who were sold to brothels would be beaten if they were disobedient. Some would even be beaten until their flesh was torn apart. Some customers with strong tastes would not even see these girls as human beings. Qin Yu was consistent with this. She refused to say what she had been doing during the time she was abducted. If she had been in a brothel and engaged in shady business for so many years, it would be strange if she was willing to talk about it. Therefore, the way most of the people present looked at Qin Yu had changed. There were even a few people who looked at Yun Jian with the same disdain. They were still thinking, since Yun Jian and Qin Yu are friends, they must be the same. Tiske, what a pity that these two beauties actually came from a brothel. They must be the kind of women that could be ridden by tens of thousands of men. Thinking of this, all the men present looked at Qin Yu and Yun Jian with unfriendly gazes. Some of them even thought, if I were to play with these two prostitutes who are ridden by tens of thousands of men, it would really be ecstasy. Lu Qi was still fighting with Lu Ziyun. Standing beside Yun Jian, Ce, who was also a man, could clearly feel the gazes of the surrounding men staring at his woman with ill intentions. Ce's eyes immediately darkened as he frowned. Especially when he felt the gazes sizing up Yun Jian's beautiful body, Ce pulled Yun Jian behind him with a frown. After avoiding the gazes, Ce looked up to meet the men who were staring at Yun Jian earlier. He then swept his domineering aura across the place and shouted at the men, "You're the one who's being bullied." Chapter 6:11. Lu Ziyun had no intention of humiliating Qin Yu in front of everyone. Such a thought had never crossed his mind. She was his sister after all. Lu Qi's words earlier had caused Lu Ziyun to frown. Initially he had wanted to persuade Lu Qi to stop talking so much. Before he could say anything though, the group of uncles who were called over by Lu Qi and the old bachelors in the village who were here to watch the show were all staring at Yun Jian lecherously. They did not look at Qin Yu with lewd eyes because she was Lu Tai's daughter after all. Even if they wanted to, she was still Lu Tai's daughter. Yun Jian was different though. Everyone thought that Qin Yu must have been sold into a brothel. Yun Jian must be the sister that Qin Yu met in the brothel. She must be a prostitute who was ridden by thousands of men. Women earn money by spreading their thighs was the fastest way. That was what the men thought. It further convinced them that Qin Yu and Yun Jian were from a brothel. After all, Qin Yu was abducted when she was young. Even if she was adopted by a kind soul, how could she wear branded clothes when she came home? She looked like she came from a rich family. Only by earning money in that way could a young girl like her afford branded clothes. Yun Jian, who knew about Qin Yu's injury, must be the same as Qin Yu. Therefore Lu Qi's uncles and the old bachelors who were here to watch the show were all looking at Yun Jian lecherously. They could not touch Qingyu, but it did not mean that they could not touch her friend. Moreover, Yun Jian was exquisite and beautiful, even prettier than Qingyu. This made the group of old bachelors present feel their hearts itch. Even if they had wives and children at home, their eyes would change color when they looked at Yun Jian. Some of the old bachelors in Luo village could not find a wife because they were poor. There were plenty of such people in the village. It was not surprising to see them. The old bachelors in Luo village had one thing in common: they were gluttonous and lazy. It was precisely because they were gluttonous and lazy that their families were so poor that they naturally had no money to marry a wife. These people were only here to watch the show, but once they heard it, they really imagined Qingyu and Yun Jian to be that kind of person. Therefore they did not hold back with their words. A short, bald-headed man with a limp spoke in front of Ce, his tone dripping with arrogance. "Young man, are you crazy? Is this woman your woman?" I looked at her tender breasts. Tsk, those breasts, they're really plump. They're probably the result of being pampered, right? Since this is your woman, young man, let's make a deal. Since your woman is for sale, why don't you let me play with her? I'll give you money." This short old bachelor was only 1.55 meters tall, shorter than Yun Jian. He was considered short among men. Looking at Yun Jian, his heart had long been itching. Now that he said such words, it was even more disgusting. Even Lu Ziyun, who had just improved his attitude towards Qingyu, could not help frowning when he heard it. Ci's eyes darkened when he heard the short old bachelor's words. His murderous intent rose. He could not even bear to touch his own woman. Was this old man seeking death? Fine, he would fulfill his wish. Ce pulled out his pistol from his belt. The silver pistol was suddenly taken out and pointed at the short old bachelor. Ce's lips curled into a murderous smirk. "You can die now." Chapter 6:12. It was Lu Ziyun's quarrel with Qingyu, but because of Lu Qi's words, the group of old bachelors misunderstood. Lu Ziyun stopped his quarrel with Lu Qi and panicked. He had a feeling that something was going to happen. Qingyu was already standing beside Lu Tai. No matter what others thought of her, she did not care as long as her father believed in her. However, she did not expect that this was not the end of it. This group of old bachelors who came to watch the show would mock Yun Jian. Qingyu was aware of Ce's protectiveness. Qingyu knew that Ce cared about Yun Jian beyond that. In Qingyu's opinion, Ce was the kind of person who would risk his life for Yun Jian. How dare this old bachelor talk about Yun Jian and insult Yun Jian in such a tone? Qingyu wanted to kill him too, let alone Ce. It was just that Ce was more direct. Ce was the leader of an Han group. He had always done things in a straightforward manner and never held back. Of course, he knew where they were, but he also knew that these people from Luo village were unreasonable. If he did not show his true abilities, these people from Luo village would not be afraid of causing trouble. However, no one present expected Ce, who had been silent earlier, to suddenly pull out a gun when Yun Jian was being verbally insulted. That was a real gun. What was more terrifying was that he actually dared to shoot. It's a gun. Lu Qi, who had been confident earlier, was completely shocked when she saw Ce pull out a gun. Everyone at the scene was completely dumbfounded. The short old bachelor who had slandered Yun Jian was so shocked that he stood rooted to the ground, unable to move. With a loud bang, Ce had already fired. However, just as Ce fired, Yun Jian suddenly reached out to block it and gently shifted Ce's aim. Ce was not guarded against Yun Jian at all. His love for her was true. Even if Yun Jian were to kill him now, he would not hate her. If it had been in the beginning when Ce had no feelings for Yun Jian, he would not have done this. However, even if Yun Jian wanted to kill him now, he would not stop her. Because he would do whatever she wanted as long as it was what she wanted. As a result, the shot missed the short old bachelor and hit a pile of sand and stones in the distance that was going to be used to build a house. The old bachelor, who had just narrowly escaped death, was drenched in cold sweat. Why is there a gun here? Isn't it forbidden to carry guns now? The other old bachelor standing beside the short old bachelor was so scared that he shouted out loud. The short old man had also touched a gun when he was young. In the early years before the country banned the use of handguns, many people had guns in their hands. Most of the men present had more or less touched guns when they were young. Therefore, it was not strange for them to have guns. When the short old man saw that Yun Jian had pushed the bullet away for him, he did not realize that he had just escaped death. Instead, he became even more complacent. He touched his bald head and thought that Yun Jian had been attracted by his good looks. He looked at Yun Jian and said in front of Ce, "Yo little girl, you have good taste. How about it? Do you want to have sex with me? I'm definitely stronger than any man you've slept with before. As soon as he said this, Ce pointed the gun in his hand at the short old man's forehead. However, Yunjian covered Ce's slender hand. Everyone present was terrified. They thought that Yunjian was afraid that something would happen. Chapter 6:13. Just as Yunjian finished speaking, Ce suddenly put an arm around her and stopped her from moving. Xiao Yunju was standing beside Ce. When Ce was about to pull the trigger, he reached out with his slender fingers and covered Xiao Yunju's eyes. At this moment, Ce was holding Yunjian with one arm and not covering Xiao Yunju's eyes with the other. Xiao Yunju was very obedient, but he was still confused. Sister, what do you mean by living a life worse than death? Our teacher said that being alive means being alive, but why should we die if we're alive? Isn't that a contradiction? Xiao Yunju cracked his little fingers and couldn't think of an answer after pondering for a long time. Hence he asked this question. The tense atmosphere just now was soothed by Yunju's light-hearted question. Especially when Yunjian said that she wanted the short old bachelor to live a life worse than death, her tone and ruthless tone when she spoke just now. When everyone heard this, the short old bachelor's miserable state surfaced in their minds. Look after Xiaozhu. You don't have to do anything today. Ce held Yunjian's waist with one arm and looked straight at the short old bachelor with his deep, hawk-like, domineering eyes as he spoke to Yunjian. These words warmed Yunjian's heart. Okay, Yunjian replied softly. When Ce said this, his tone was neither cold nor warm, and there was no expression on his face. But because of this, everyone present felt that his indifferent, handsome face, coupled with his slender fingers holding the gun in his hand, gave him an indescribable domineering aura. His domineering aura also gave off a chilling vibe. Brother, who is he? How can he have a gun? Lu Qi stood beside Lu Ziyun. She had been arguing with Lu Ziyun arrogantly earlier, but now she dared not utter a single word when she saw the gun in Ce's hand. Lu Qi shut up. All of a sudden, Lu Ziyun recalled that this whole incident had started because of Lu Qi's unreasonable words. Lu Ziyun was still a smart person and he quickly reprimanded Lu Qi. Brother, you're being mean to me again. You've never been this mean to me before. It's all because of her. Because she's back, all of you treat me badly and don't want me anymore. Lu Qi did not know that Lu Ziyun was doing this for her own good. She glared at Qingyu with hatred as she spoke to Lu Ziyun. At this moment, Yunjian had already covered Xiao Yunju's eyes. Ce was already walking toward the short old bachelor. What are you trying to do? The short old bachelor was suddenly intimidated by Ce's aura. He had thought that he would be fine earlier, but now he was shivering. In spite of this, the short old bachelor refused to lose face in front of so many people. He still held his head high. Although the short old bachelor raised his head, his 1.55 meters height was nothing compared to Ce, who was 1.85 meters tall. Just as the old bachelor could not help taking 3 steps back in fright, Ce suddenly straddled his long legs and grabbed the man's collar, lifting him up effortlessly before he spoke in a neutral tone. What's wrong with you? Do you know the consequences of trying to lay a finger on my woman? Ce's words sent a shiver down everyone's spine. What is it? The short old bachelor looked rather comical as he was lifted up by Ce in the air. Ce suddenly flung the short old bachelor away. While he was in midair, he raised his gun and aimed at the short old bachelor's groin and fired a shot. Bang. Chapter 6:14. The shot landed squarely on the short old man's manhood. After being flung away by Ce, the short old man's manhood was hit with a loud bang by Ce's shot. After a second of silence, a howl that sounded like a pig being slaughtered echoed through the clouds. What followed was the short old man rolling on the ground with his hands covering his crotch. Everyone present was stunned by Ce's sudden action. Brother, he really shot. Lu Qi was shocked by the sudden gory scene. She quickly covered her eyes, her hands still trembling violently. To Lu Qi, this was no doubt the scariest thing she had ever seen in her life. She knew this short old man as well. He was the role model of the village's lazy gluttony. Lu Qi still remembered that every time he passed by this short old bachelor's house, the way the short old bachelor looked at him was very disgusting. It was disgusting, but now that she saw a familiar face rolling on the ground with his hands covering his bloody crotch, his expression was one of unbearable agony. Lu Qi was frightened to death, especially when she saw the bloody scene from afar. Although Lu Qi grew up in a village, she had never seen blood. Both her parents treated her like the apple of their eye. Although their family's conditions were a little poor, Lu Tai would work himself to death and never let Lu Qi suffer even a little bit. Therefore Lu Qi's fright was not to be underestimated. Lu Ziyun was frightened as well. He had never seen such a gory scene either. Chills ran down his spine, but he still caressed Lu Qi's head, protecting her from the fear alone. This was a brother's love for his sister. At the same time, Lu Ziyun turned to look at Qing Yu and his old father with a pale face. Actually, ever since he saw Qing Yu's wounds, even if Qing Yu was really from a brothel, even if Qing Yu was really unbearable, Lu Ziyun had already decided to acknowledge Qing Yu as his sister. He hated Qing Yu because he thought she was enjoying herself and did not come home earlier, causing his mother's death. However, now that the misunderstanding had been cleared up, Lu Ziyun was not a bad person. He planned to slowly forgive Qing Yu. Lu Ziyun turned to look at Qing Yu because he was afraid that Qing Yu would be afraid of witnessing such a gory scene. Unexpectedly, when Lu Ziyun turned to look at Qing Yu, what he saw was Qing Yu's normal face that was not at all frightened by the horrifying scene in front of him. Why wasn't his sister afraid at all? Lu Ziyun was doubtful. You actually dared to shoot. You're going to be caught. An old bachelor who saw what was happening pointed at Ce in fright, clutching his crotch as he exclaimed, "Caught." Ce fiddled with the gun. His slender fingers hooked onto the gun firmly. His handsome face was illuminated by the winter sunset. Then he gently flicked his hair, revealing a beautiful yet arrogant smile. He said to the old bachelor, "I want to see which one of you has the guts to capture me." His tone was insolent and arrogant. However, he had the right to do so. Just as Ce finished his words, he put his gun away and left the short old bachelor rolling on the ground to fend for himself. Yun Jian was standing not far away. He put his gun away as he walked and soon reached Yun Jian, wrapping an arm around Yun Jian's slim waist in front of everyone. How dare you hurt people like this?" Everyone's opinion of Yun Jian and the rest had changed completely. If Yun Jian was really from a brothel, how could she be so insolent? In other words, it was impossible for Qing Yu. Therefore, everyone was doubtful about the identities of Yun Jian, Qing Yu and the others. Chapter 6:15. If she dared to kill someone, what else would she not dare to do? Yun Jian's words caused panic among the crowd, especially the group of old bachelors who saw Yun Jian as a woman for sale. They were now looking at Yun Jian in disbelief, trembling in fear. Although Yun Jian was not the one who fired the shot, the way Ce pampered Yun Jian was enough to shock everyone present. The short old bachelor who had just lost his manhood had only spoken a few words about Yun Jian, but Ce had already crippled his manhood. Under such oppressive circumstances, who would dare to make a sound? If this wasn't courting death, then what was? As for the short old bachelor who was rolling on the ground with his hands covering his crotch, no one wanted to bother with him. After all, this short old bachelor was not a good person. However, it would not be good if someone died. Therefore, some of the older and more experienced people went over to help the short old bachelor up and headed to the only old clinic in Luo village. Those who were there to watch the show dispersed. What a joke. Who would be willing to be like that short old bachelor and watch a show, only to end up losing his manhood? What else could it be if not the loss outweighed the gain? Therefore, the crowd dispersed after a short while. In the end, even Lu Qi's group of friends left the place. They were practically running away. Xiao Xen, who are these friends of yours? Lu Tai asked Qing Yu as he glanced at Ce and Yun Jian fearfully after everyone had left. Lu Tai was a farmer who had lived in Luo village his whole life and had not seen much of the world. Therefore he felt a sense of fear when he saw Yun Jian and Ce. "Dad." Qing Yu wiped her lips and glanced at Yun Yi, about to reply to Lu Tai when Lu Tai interrupted her. A voice that was louder than Qing Yu's came through. "Dad. Look at her. What kind of friends does she have? How could they beat someone up like that? We're done for. What if they come looking for us? We can't afford it with our family's condition." Lu Qi's exaggerated voice drowned out the words that Qing Yu wanted to blurt out. We didn't hurt him anyway. So many people in our village saw it. If anything happens, it's their fault." As Lu Qi spoke, she pointed at Yun Jian and Ce with her not-so-slender and rather plump fingers. "It's all on me," Qing Yu said bitterly, lowering her gaze after Lu Qi spoke. "Xiao Xen?" Lu Tai's pain was unbearable. He finally found his youngest daughter who had suffered outside for so many years, but his other children were at odds with her. There was nothing more difficult to deal with than this. "Dad, it's fine." Qing Yu turned to smile at Lu Tai, her expression forced. Qing Yu knew now that it was difficult, extremely difficult, for her to reconcile with her brother and sister. However, her father would not. Even if she had indirectly caused her mother's death, She was Lu Tai's biological daughter after all. Xiao Xen, I've let you suffer. Lu Tai said tearfully as he patted the back of Qing Yu's hand with his aged hand. Lu Xen, there's no one around now. Tell us, what have you been doing all these years? Lu Ziyun asked Qing Yu again when he saw that there was no one around. His tone when he spoke to Qing Yu was no longer as irascible as before. Qing Yu's lips were pursed as she lowered her gaze before turning to Yun Jian. Chapter 616. After all, Qing Yu was a higher-up in Kosha mercenaries. To be honest, her identity was an absolute secret. Kosha Mercenaries was an international mercenary group, and as a higher-up in Kosha Mercenaries, Qing Yu's identity had to be kept a secret. Of course, Qing Yu wanted to be honest with Lu Tai, Lu Ziyun, and the rest purely because they were her family, her closest kin. To be honest was to clear up misunderstandings. There were a few levels of honesty. The first was to come clean about everything. The other was to only reveal her identity as an assassin. Although the meaning was more or less the same, it was clearly inappropriate to reveal Qing Yu's true identity. After all, Qing Yu was a higher-up in Kosha Mercenaries, and Kosha Mercenaries had its own rules. The rules were set by Yun Jian, and even Yun Jian herself could not easily break them, let alone Qing Yu. Yun Jian was protective, but she would not relent when it came to her bottom line. Lu Ziyun was puzzled by Qing Yu's turn to look at Yun Jian. Lu Ziyun was no fool. Naturally, he could tell from the interaction between Qing Yu and Yun Jian that Yun Jian and Qing Yu must be related in some way. As for what they were related to each other, no one could say for sure. Unless Qing Yu came clean. Xiao Xine, it's all right now. We're at home. Dad didn't have the ability to find you and let you suffer outside. Dad will take care of you from now on. Dad will never let anyone bully Xiao Xine. Dad. Lu Tai thought that Qing Yu did not want to talk about the past. His aged face was bleak. He spoke continuously, but halfway through, tears welled up in his eyes. Lu Tai even wiped away his tears with his dry, old hand. Seeing that Qing Yu refused to tell him where she had been all these years, Lu Tai could confirm one thing. His Xiao Xen had indeed suffered a lot. Dad, it's not your fault. It's not Mom's either. If anything, it's my own fault for being playful when I was young. Qing Yu stood beside Lu Tai, her heart aching as she patted his back lightly to comfort him. Say it. Yun Jian suddenly spoke up just as Qing Yu was about to keep her mouth shut. Qing Yu's hand that was soothing Lu Tai's emotions paused abruptly as she turned to look at Yun Jian in surprise. Sister Jian? It's better to make certain things clear, Yun Jian said to Qing Yu with a smile. If it was the Yun Jian from her past life, she would never have supported Qing Yu's confession. In the past life, slaying God was unintentional. In her previous life, even when her younger brother died, it was inevitable for her to be sad, but it was not to the extent that she would die. But after her rebirth, after such a long period of time together, Yun Jian discovered that there could be such deep affection between people. There wasn't a single person who didn't yearn for kinship. In her previous life, Yun Jian yearned for kinship, but what she yearned for was perhaps only kinship, the feeling of being cared for. Not that person. Until now, Xiao Yunzhu, Qin Yiru, and Yun Yi had completely integrated into her life. She understood what kinship was. She also understood that none of them could be replaced by others. Qing Yu nodded solemnly after getting Yun Jian's permission. Seeing that Qing Yu was going to come clean, even Yun Yi could not help pricking up her ears. Lu Ziyun was even more focused. Lu Qi was the only one who didn't seem to care at all. Chapter 617. When I was abducted back then, I was brought to a small island. Later, I realized that there were at least a few hundred children who were abducted like me. Qing Yu paused when she said this, as if she could still recall the fear she felt back then. I was scared, very scared, but I couldn't cry. Dad, I still remember when I was young you said that if one day I forgot the way home, I must stand there and wait for you because you will definitely find me. No matter where I am, you will come and find me. Qing Yu reached out to hold Lu Tai's old palm when she said this. Before Qing Yu was abducted, Lu Tai loved his youngest daughter dearly. He was a true farmer. When he worked in the fields, he would bring his youngest daughter along and tell her stories. As he told more stories, Lu Tai would talk about principles that little Qing Yu could not understand. He was not educated, but he knew a lot of principles after living for so long. However, this was the only thing that Qing Yu understood. Perhaps many parents would remind their children to be safe, but to Qing Yu, what her father told her was the truth that she would remember for the rest of her life. Tears trickled down from the corner of Qing Yu's eyes. She continued under everyone's gaze. I stood there all the time, not daring to go too far. Then, some children ran away out of fear. When a child took the lead and ran, a group of children followed. But that was a small island. Other than the island, there was an endless ocean around. The group of children who ran away were all killed by a group of men carrying machine guns. Their bodies were also dragged away. All the bodies of the children who ran away were fed to the wolves. Qin Yu's tone was slowly returning to normal. After that, they started training us children who didn't run away. For months we trained day and night. It was also there that I learned how to kill. Qin Yu raised both her hands as she spoke. Lu Qi's legs were already trembling when she heard Qin Yu talk about how she killed without any fluctuation in her tone, as if killing a person was as simple as having a meal. Dad, I think you should know. That's right, it's an assassin organization and I'm an assassin. Qin Yu paused. However, my luck was very good. I stayed in the organization for a few months and met Master. Master took me away from that terrifying place. Otherwise, I would have been a cold corpse by now. Snake. Lizard had not taken Qin Yu away back then. Qin Yu would not have been able to escape from that place with her ability alone. She did not have Yun Jian's skills nor Yun Jian's ability. Qin Yu's skills could only be considered above average. If Qin Yu had been like Yun Jian, she would not have been able to leave the assassin organization alive. This was because out of hundreds of people, only a few had survived. Qin Yu stopped there. She did not tell Lu Tai and the rest that she had been following Yun Jian ever since. Qin Yu knew that Yun Jian did not want to expose her identity. Assassin? Xiao Xiao Xan? These wounds on your body there? Lu Tai's eyes widened as he stared at Qin Yu in disbelief with his mouth agape. I was stabbed by someone. There's also a gunshot wound. Qin Yu did not hide it since she had already revealed it. Lu Xanyu. Lu Ziyun was speechless from Qin Yu's words. His sister, the sister that he thought had returned in glory, had gone through such pain. Chapter 6:18. The kidnapped sister was not sold to a prostitute's brothel, nor was she crippled and left to beg on the streets. Both of these were common occurrences in the real world. There were even quite a number of children from Luo village who were abducted. By the time their parents found their children, they were already crippled. How could a girl who had been a prostitute get married? Which one of the crippled beggars on the streets was not missing an arm or a leg? How would they live in the future? Some of them were even blinded. These were nothing more than human traffickers' tactics to gain sympathy from passers-by. These detestable human traffickers did not destroy a person but a family's happiness. However, these were not Qin Yu's experiences. She had gone to a place even crueler, an assassin's organization. Perhaps they had been abducted to become prostitutes, or perhaps they had been crippled and forced to beg on the streets. It was unfortunate, but at least this group of people was still alive. What about an assassin's organization? This was a place where the winner was king and the loser was a bandit. If one did not have the ability, one would die. In an assassin's organization, there were hundreds of children but only a few of them survived until the end. Sometimes there were not even 3 of them who survived. Yet his sister had been kidnapped to such a place. Lu Ziyun's heart skipped a beat. It was also in this second that his hatred for Qin Yu was completely set aside. He hated her because he thought that Qin Yu did not want to go home because she was enjoying life all these years, but when he knew what she had been through as her brother, Lu Ziyun's heart still ached. This was his sister after all. My Xiao Xan, you've suffered. It's all Dad's fault. I couldn't find you and didn't keep my promise. It's Dad's fault, it's Dad's fault. Lu Tai's soul almost left his body when he heard Qin Yu's story. He thumped his chest and yelled at himself for being useless. He really did not expect his younger daughter to be kidnapped and sent to an assassin's organization. Those who entered a place like that would die without a doubt. Dad, didn't I come back alive? Dad, don't blame yourself. If it weren't for you telling me to wait for you at the same spot when we got separated, I would have been running around with those kids. Qin Yu quickly grabbed Lu Tai's hand and comforted him. If Qin Yu had run around like the other children, she would have died on the spot. As expected, Lu Tai's emotions calmed down at once when Qin Yu said that. Yun Jian scanned everyone's expression and realized that Lu Ziyun had completely cleared up his misunderstanding of Qin Yu. As for Lu Qi, she was Qin Yu's elder sister. At this moment, Lu Qi's heart was filled with complicated emotions. Lu Qi had always thought that Qin Yu's return was to snatch her father and brother's love away from her, but she still felt a twinge of pain when she knew what her sister had gone through. To Lu Qi, her younger sister Qin Yu had snatched away all her childhood love. When her younger sister was abducted, Lu Qi was indeed vaguely happy because her love for her had returned. However, there was also a sense of emptiness in her heart, as if something was missing. Lu Qi had always had a sharp tongue. No matter how hurtful her words were, no one would dare to claim second place if she claimed to be the best. So, Dad, we must live together as a family from now on. Qingyu flashed a bitter smile. Lu Tai nodded heavily, touched. Chapter 619. Yun Yi's voice rang out, startling everyone present. They then recalled how Yun Yi had claimed that Qingyu was his woman in front of everyone to protect Qingyu. Was he not joking earlier? To be honest, Lu Tai really thought that Yun Yi was joking earlier. After all, to Lu Tai, a young man like Yun Yi was quite outstanding. Yun Yi was handsome and seemed like a nice person. One look and one would know that he was a reliable person. Of course, Lu Tai would not associate his youngest daughter with Yun Yi. Based on the situation earlier, Lu Tai would have thought that Yun Yi had claimed that Qingyu was his woman because they were friends and that Yun Yi was only trying to support Qingyu. However, just as he was enjoying himself with his youngest daughter and everyone's mood was getting better, Yun Yi suddenly spoke. Did he really have something going on with his youngest daughter? After all, he did not watch Qingyu grow up. With a frown, Lu Tai began studying Yun Yi carefully. Xiaoxian. Yes. Lu Tai pointed at Yun Yi, who was standing not far away from Yun Jian, and asked Qingyu. Dad, he's my friend's brother. Qingyu knew that Lu Tai did not care about her past at all. She held his hand affectionately with a smile and told him. Yun Jian was the friend Qingyu mentioned. Even if they were blind, they could tell that Yun Jian was her friend. In spite of it, Qingyu's words made Yun Yi choke. What did she say? Did she just say that he was her friend's brother? That was all? Friend's brother? We've slept together and you're saying that I'm your friend's brother? Once Yun Yi heard her, he went to Qingyu and grabbed her slender wrist without exerting much force. He could not bear to hurt Qingyu if he used too much force. When Yun Jian heard her brother's words, she couldn't help but laugh on the spot. Following Yun Jian's smile, the atmosphere was lifted from the tense atmosphere just now. What are you talking about? Qingyu's eyes bulged, refusing to admit it. However, when she heard Yun Yi's words, warmth flowed through Qingyu's heart. Say what? Do I need to repeat myself? We are already sleeping in the same bed. What do you think is our relationship? Yun Yi also directly threw away the burden of being a gentleman and became a robber for once. His purpose of coming here was obvious as well, to woo Qingyu. Qingyu could not retort. She pouted and turned to Lu Tai. Dad, look at how he's bullying me. Lu Tai was speechless. Qingyu turned to Yun Jian and said coquettishly, Sister Jian, your brother is bullying me. You have to help me. Caressing Xiao Yunju's head, Yun Jian looked away but said, I didn't see anything. Qingyu was speechless. Brat, how dare you bully Lu, my younger sister? Lu Ziyun suddenly went up and grabbed Yun Yi's collar, asking like a ruffian. Qingyu's eyes glinted in shock when he suddenly called her his younger sister. I'll take responsibility. Yun Yi, who was grabbed by the collar, did not fight back as he said seriously. Just as the mood of the group turned for the better. A group of menacing people walked over with hoes in their hands, looking menacing. It's them. They're the ones who ruined Laosan's manhood. Chapter 620. The short old bachelor who had just been shot by CE was surnamed Wang. Everyone in the village called him Bachelor Wang. Bachelor Wang was not the first old man in Luo village to be a bachelor. There were more bachelor men in Luo village than men who were able to get married and have children. What was the reason for this? There was actually a reason. Luo village had been a poor and destitute village since ancient times. Since ancient times, this place was especially prone to drought. The farmers could not afford to grow crops and the rain was scarce. There was little rain in all 4 seasons. And Luo village's ancestors had passed down a preference for boys over girls. In the eyes of most families in Luo village, there was an absolute difference between giving birth to a boy and a girl. Giving birth to a boy was for their retirement. Giving birth to a girl, a married daughter, was like spilled water. Therefore, everyone said that a daughter was a waste of money. And Luo village was such a feudal place. Over time, Luo village developed a habit. Every family had to give birth to a son before they were willing to give up. This also led to an indirect problem. In Luo village there were too few girls compared to boys. As a result, there was only 1 girl among 3 or 4 boys. Luo village was poor to begin with. It was basically impossible to get a wife from outside. And the ratio of men to women in Luo village had been unbalanced for a long time. Until now, there were not many girls in Luo village at all. Even the girls in Luo village would marry outside. So what would these boys do when they grew up? In the end, they would be like Bachelor Wang and be single for the rest of their lives. The group of old women in the village who favored boys over girls would gather together. Some would even chatter and scold Luo village for being so outstanding, but the women outside were not willing to marry into Luo village. But they had completely forgotten. Luo village favored boys over girls. How could the daughter-in-law who married and have a good life? When this group of old women favored boys over girls, they also neglected an essential question. Were you a man or a woman? And when the feudal tradition was passed down from generation to generation, this group of stupid people did not realize this at all. This directly led to the current situation. Luo village was full of bachelors. There was a large group of people like Bachelor Wang who could not even touch a finger of a woman in their lifetime. And when these people gathered together, they began to call each other brothers. The dozen or so people who rushed in with hoes were all old bachelors in the village, and they were all Bachelor Wang's brothers. This group of people even arranged their own ranks, calling themselves boss, second boss, and third boss. They even gave their own group a nickname, Bachelor's Alliance. This group of people also liked to talk about loyalty. Previously, a group of people in the village carried Wang Xingluan out, and it was in the hands of this group of people who called Wang Xingluan brothers. As a matter of fact, this group of people immediately came here with hoes to cause trouble. This group of old bachelors were all people who did not have a family, so they had nothing to worry about. In Luo village they were also the kind of people who dared to do anything. A group of people walked into Lu Tai's courtyard in a grandiose manner. Standing at the front was an old man with a height of 1.8 meters. People called him Brother Hu, and it was said that he mingled in the streets of Xan City. Brother Hu was the boss of this group of people, but he was not alone. The reason why Brother Hu was so arrogant was because he was a member of Xan City's black market gang. Moreover, he was in existence with some status. Chapter 621. Lu Ziyun was also part of Xan City's underworld. After his mother, Qing Yu's birth mother, passed away in search of Qing Yu, Lu Ziyun dropped out of school right away. Since then Lu Ziyun had fallen from grace. There was nothing Lu Tai could do about it. To Lu Ziyun, losing his mother was a reality that he could not accept. Lu Ziyun had been in the underworld for quite some time now. Lu Tai only knew that he had joined a gang in Xan City, but he did not know the details. Lu Ziyun had been in the underworld for so many years, but he was only at the bottom. Who was Brother Hu then? When Lu Ziyun had just joined the underworld, Brother Hu was already a high-ranking member of a big gang. Although Brother Hu was not a particularly reputable high-ranking member of the gang, Brother Hu's status was enough to crush Lu Ziyun. Hence, when Lu Ziyun saw Brother Hu, he was actually a little nervous and afraid. Naturally, Big Brother Tiger did not recognize a small fry like Lu Ziyun. But when Big Brother Tiger led his men into the courtyard of Lu Tai's house, he suddenly heard someone call out his name in a trembling voice. That person must have recognized him. Big Brother Tiger immediately became even more arrogant. Who would have thought that there would be someone who recognized him? Ha! Brother Hu's high-pitched voice dragged out as he led his men into the courtyard. He then walked around with the hoe in his hand. Suddenly Brother Hu's gaze paused when he saw Yun Jian and Qing Yu. Oh my, these two youngsters are quite pretty. Brother Hu was a high-ranking member of a big gang in Xan City. He had played with countless women, but when he saw Yun Jian and Qing Yu, he felt like his world had changed. Yo 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 yo. Brother Hu whistled and sized up Yun Jian and Qing Yu with a roguish gaze before he tapped the ground with the hoe in his hand. You guys touched my third brother just now. Do you have a death wish? Brother Hu suddenly shouted. His arrogant voice sent chills down the spines of most of the people present. Lu Tai was just a villager. He had been honest and dutiful all his life and had never encountered something like this. He was afraid, but he pulled Qing Yu's hand in an attempt to shield her behind him. Your third brother? Ce lazily leaned against a corner of the wall. His eagle-like eyes had already turned to look at Brother Hu. His lazy tone carried an aura that couldn't be ignored. Motherf asterisk her, it's that guy who you crippled. An old bachelor standing next to Brother Hu shouted at Ce in order to gain Brother Hu's favor. Ha! Ce smirked. He didn't feel threatened at all by the arrival of Brother Hu and his gang. Damn it! Are you guys looking for death? How dare you act so arrogantly after touching my people? *CK. Brother Tiger swung his hoe and fiercely hacked at the ground. Then Tiger seemed to have thought of something. He threw the hoe on the ground and carefully took out a real weapon from his pocket. *CK, do you think that I will be afraid of you just because you have guns? I also have a gun. Ah. I'm not afraid of you. Brother Hu knew that Bachelor Wang was crippled because he was shot in the groin, so he had prepared this weapon. Lu Tai, Lu Ziyun, and Lu Qi instinctively shuddered when they saw that Brother Hu had a gun. Chapter 622. Brother whose heart skipped a beat when he saw Yun Jian suddenly taking out a butterfly knife and twirling it around. *CK. Brother who cursed in his heart. How could he be intimidated by a woman who had a knife in her hand? This was illogical. Looking at Yun Jian's exquisite face and the exquisite body wrapped in winter clothing, brother who felt an itch in his heart. Do you know who I am? Brother who hooked the gun in his hand and turned it around to show off his cool to Yun Jian. After showing off his cool, brother who was even more pleased with himself. He was a handsome man when he was young. Coupled with the way he twirled the gun around, it was enough to attract a large group of young women. Looking at brother whose cool act in front of her, coupled with his overly muscular body that was close to fat, Yun Jian kept the butterfly knife in her palm. She looked at brother who and said word by word, "You're a pig." "You're a pig." Yun Jian had said that brother who looked like a pig. Now that she thought about it, the brother who in front of her did resemble a pig. Although a pig was not tall, brother who was 1.8 meters tall, brother whose muscular arms and fat legs were almost 4 to 5 times thicker than Yun Jian's. What else could he look like if not a pig? With Yun Jian's pointing, the few old bachelors beside brother who were trying hard to hold back their laughter. Some of them were even laughing out loud. Brother who was the higher-up of Xian City's second-ranked gang. Many people in the underworld were afraid of brother who and yet Yun Jian called him a pig? Laugh, laugh, laugh your head off. Brother who turned his head to the side and roared at the group of old bachelors. Just as he finished, brother who turned his gaze to Qing Yu and Lu Ziyun. Brother who said to Lu Ziyun directly, "You're from Xian City's underworld too, aren't you?" I heard that's your sister who just came back? She's not bad looking. Kid, lend me your sister to play with for a few days and I'll promote you to be my underling in our gang. How about that?" Brother who said to Lu Ziyun as if he was the one who was at a disadvantage. Lu Ziyun had been trembling just a moment ago, but upon hearing brother whose words, an indescribable rage suddenly erupted from within him. Qing Yu had suffered so much. Perhaps Lu Ziyun would blame his sister if he did not know. Even if Lu Ziyun did not know about Qing Yu's suffering, he only wanted to chase her away because he was too angry. Lu Ziyun was a gangster but he was a man with dignity. There was no way that he would do something like exchange his sister for his position. "If you dare to touch my sister, I won't let you off even if I die," Lu Ziyun roared out. His weak and feeble demeanor had been completely reversed in an instant. Even Qing Yu was shocked. "Brother?" Qing Yu cried out, touched. *CK. Brother who roared, looking back and forth between Qing Yu and Yun Jian. He was going to get rid of both of them today. "Are you done with your last words?" Just as brother who was going crazy, Siyi's cold yet domineering voice came from the side. Siyi changed his stance when he heard him. He was no longer leaning against the wall but was walking over. "What last words?" *CK. Who do you think you are?" Brother who yelled when he realized what was going on. He was infuriated by Siyi's words. "Looks like you're done. You can die now." Siyi did not even look up. Then he held the gun in his hand like a magic trick. I have a gun too." However, before brother who could raise his gun, Siyi's long fingers had already pulled the trigger. Bang. Chapter 623. Before brother who could raise his gun and finish his sentence, a bright bullet shot through brother whose head at a speed that was indiscernible to the naked eye. One shot, one life. Everyone present was scared to death by Siyi's actions. Brother whose group of people were so frightened that they cried out on the spot. Each of them had a terrified and horrified expression on their faces. The group of people present were all from the countryside, and their education levels were similar. They had only graduated from elementary school. Therefore, when people here encountered problems, they had no awareness of the law. They only knew how to form gangs and bring their brothers to fight. It was also because of this that brother whose group didn't go to the police when Wang Single got into trouble. Instead, they carried hoes and came to cause trouble for Siyi. The people in the countryside had a weak awareness of the law. When something happened, they would usually find someone to solve it themselves. Naturally, it was not uncommon for both sides to fight until their heads bled. However, for Siyi to kill someone as soon as he appeared, and the person he killed was a high-ranking member of a gang in Xian City, this kind of thing was simply unheard of. Although Brother Tiger's group of Bachelor Alliance brothers were also people who often fought, and they often fought until their heads bled, Brother Tiger didn't care. Therefore, no one would be surprised if there was a little blood. However, the death of one person was not a small matter. Most importantly, Brother who was a high-ranking member of the second-ranked gang in Xian City. If the gangs in Xian City were to blame them, none of them would have an easy time. For a moment, Brother Hu's group of brothers were all frightened out of their wits. Murder, murder. You killed someone. Someone pointed at CE and said in an extremely terrified tone, "Do you know who you killed? That's a high-ranking member of the second-ranked gang in Xian City. You're finished?" One of Brother Hu's brothers shouted at CE and Yun Jian in astonishment. "How dare you look at my woman like that? Do you still think you can live? Don't even think about leaving today." CE's slender fingers lightly flicked the muzzle of his gun. He cast a sidelong glance at the group of people as if he was looking at a group of dead people. CE killed someone just because they looked at Yun Jian that way? Coupled with the fact that CE had crippled Wang Guoguang's family jewels, Lu Tai, Lu Ziyun and Lu Qi were already scared out of their wits. But now a sense of horror welled up in their hearts. Brother Tiger's group of brothers immediately realized this. From CE's words he was going to kill all of them? Brother Tiger's group of brothers panicked. He was even more terrified than Brother Tiger dying in front of him. I don't want to die." The group of people howled. They no longer pretended to be manly as they turned around and ran away. CE narrowed his eyes and raised his gun. He was the leader of the Inhun organization and had never cared about human lives. The reason he did not kill before was for Xiao Jian's sake. However, the same thing could not happen more than 3 times. This group of people had repeatedly violated his bottom line. Based on his personality he should have killed them all. "No. Don't. Young man, you can't." Lu Tai was kind-hearted. Despite his fear he ran up to CE and blocked CE from killing more people. "Let them go," Yun Jian said when she saw the situation. Brother Tiger's group of brothers also took advantage of this time to run away without leaving a trace. Lu Tai suppressed his fear instantly. Lu Qi on the other hand was rooted to the spot dumbly. There was only endless fear in her. The man of the friend Qing you brought back had killed someone? Chapter 624. Lu Tai heaved a sigh of relief when he saw CE put the gun away. In spite of it, he still shuddered when he saw Brother Hu's body on the floor. In the end, Lu Tai went over to give CE a shove before calling Lu Ziyun, Lu Qi, Qingyu and Yun Jian over. "Go. All of you go. All of you go." Lu Tai began to chase them away. Lu Ziyun and Lu Qi were among those who were chased away. "Dad." Lu Ziyun's eyes widened as he stared at Lu Tai in disbelief. "Go. Don't say anything else. Xiao Yun, go to the room and take out the metal box under Dad's bed. It contains the rest of our family's money. Take all of it and run. Run as far as you can. Don't ever come back." Lu Tai frowned and said with a pale face. "And Xiao Xen, my good child, you go too." Lu Tai urged with a smile that was uglier than a crying face. "Xiao Yun, promise me you'll take good care of your sister." Lu Tai turned to Lu Ziyun and said. Lu Tai's order made Lu Ziyun and Lu Qi's faces even paler. They also realized the seriousness of the matter. Lu Tai was just a farmer from Luo village but Brother Hu was a high-ranking member of Xian City's second gang. Although Brother Hu was not killed by Lu Tai, he died in his own home. The second gang in Xian City was stirring up trouble. Not only did they collect protection fees from those who worked hard in Xian City, they also exploited the common people. Even if one of their brothers died, the second gang would implicate Lu Tai's family, let alone the death of a high-ranking member of Xian City's second gang. Lu Tai was an honest man. Although CE was the one who killed him, CE would have to go to jail if this matter was blown out of proportion. He might even be executed. Lu Tai could not bear to see such a good child's life ruined just like that. After all, this was caused by Brother Hu and his gang. Although Lu Tai believed that CE was being impulsive, he did not want to leave this place. On the other hand, Lu Tai himself was reluctant to leave the place where he had spent his entire life with his late wife. But considering his children, he decided to bring Lu Ziyun and Lu Qi along as well. "Dad? We didn't kill them, so why should we run?" Lu Qi was from Xian City, so she had naturally heard of the power of the second gang in Xian City. However, she couldn't understand why they had to run away when they weren't the ones who killed this man. Lu Tai's actions were obvious. He wanted to take the blame for CE. CE's black eyes flashed twice. He was also somewhat surprised. This person actually wanted to take the blame for him? "Little Qi, listen to me." Lu Tai made up his mind and shouted at Lu Qi. "No, Dad." Lu Qi treated Lu Tai like a father and daughter. Perhaps Lu Qi was not friendly to Qingyu, but she did not have any other thoughts toward Lu Tai. Just as Lu Tai and the other two were panicking, Yun Jian turned to look at Lu Tai and said, "No one needs to run." Lu Tai was stunned. He glanced at Yun Jian in surprise. But this, Qin Yu, take that out. Yun Jian turned to look at Qin Yu and ordered. Okay, Sister Jian. Qin Yu nodded and took out an airtight container from her small bag while Lu Tai and his family watched in bewilderment. The airtight container was small, similar to those used for chemistry experiments, but it was airtight and the body fluid inside would not be poured out. After Qin Yu took it out, she followed Yun Jian's instructions and went to Brother Hu's body under the family's shocked gazes. She opened the container and poured the fluid all over Brother Hu's body. Chapter 625. Lu Tai and the other two were already surprised when Yun Jian called Qin Yu Qin Yu. After all, Qin Yu was only Lu Xian to the three of them. Come to think of it, Qin Yu had been away from home for so many years. According to her, she had even lived in an assassin organization. How could she have been using the name Lu Xian? Therefore the three of them were relieved. What did Qin Yu do though? She took out a sealed container that looked like it was from a chemical experiment. After opening it, she poured all the water in the sealed container onto Tiger's body. Here came the frightening part. Lu Tai had been a farmer his whole life. He had been a down-to-earth person, earning the fruits of his labor with his hard work. Lu Ziyun and Lu Qi, who lived in the countryside, did not have much exposure to such things. Brother Hu turned into a puddle of blood. This scene completely shocked the three of them. Corpse, corpse, corpse turned into a puddle of blood. The scene was even more shocking than Brother Hu being shot dead by Ce. If he had not seen it with his own eyes, Lu Qi would not have believed such an unrealistic thing. Lu Qi was already shrieking in shock. He covered his eyes and squatted down, trembling. Lu Tai was shocked as well. Lu Ziyun's mental fortitude was much better than Lu Qi and Lu Tai's, but when Lu Ziyun first saw this scene, the shock he received was no less than Lu Tai's. Little sister, you? Lu Ziyun's mouth was agape as he put on a look of disbelief. Qin Yu put the lid back on after pouring the liquid from the sealed container and hid the item back into her bunny-patterned bag. Qin Yu turned around and explained to the three of them, Dad, don't be scared. This is corpse-dissolving water. You'll be fine as long as you don't touch it. Younger sister, how could you bring such a dangerous thing with you? Before Lu Ziyun could finish his sentence, Qin Yu interrupted him. Qin Yu smiled and turned to Lu Ziyun to say, Brother, it's fine. Her bag has been modified. The material is special. Even if the liquid in the container spills out, it won't flow out of the bag. Yun Jian walked up to Qin Yu and explained. Yun Yi, who was standing beside Qin Yu, was equally shocked. Ce calmly covered Xiao Yunju's eyes, not letting Xiao Yunju see the bloody scene. Of course, Ce himself maintained his composure without a flicker in his eyes. Ha. Qin Yu turned to smile at Yun Jian. Her delicate baby face looked very gorgeous. As Lu Tai and the other two men panicked once more, Qin Yu patted her bulging bag and teased Yun Jian mischievously. Sister Jian, this dissolving water is very expensive. I couldn't bear to sell it even when someone offered $10 million. You have to reward me well. Without a doubt, the corpse-dissolving water was the best divine tool for destroying corpses. You can pick any of the branches under my name. Yun Jian crossed her arms and replied to Qin Yu with a smile. The conversation between Yun Jian and Qin Yu made Yun Yi, who was clueless about the situation, suspicious. Ze was unfazed. Their conversation, however, had Lu Tai and the other two men rooted to the spot, dumbfounded. What? The corpse-dissolving water in Qin Yu's hand was worth $10 million. US dollars. In 1998, a family in Luo village would only need a few hundred yuan for a month's living expenses if they had a simple meal. $10 million worth of corpse-dissolving water. What did that mean? Chapter 626. Yun Jian had many subsidiary companies in her past life. When she was reborn, the company she stole from with her hacking skills had many subsidiary companies, but that company was managed by one of Yun Jian's subordinates with the codename Alluring Demonis. The company that Alluring Demonis was in charge of was known as subsidiary companies in other regions and not in the headquarters. Subsidiary companies were not the head office. These subsidiary companies under Yun Jian, even if it was just a subsidiary company, had at least $100 million worth of wealth. Haha, thank you, Sister Jian. Qin Yu smiled sweetly. It was a mischievous grin. Lu Tai and the other two were rooted to the spot. Lu Tai was just a villager. To him, if he had more than $10,000 in cash, he would be considered one of the wealthiest families in Luo village. After all, the people in Luo village were basically poor and economically backward. Those who were rich had gone to the big cities to develop themselves. Most of those who stayed in Luo village could not leave. 10 million USD. When Qingyu said that the thing she had was worth 10 million USD, she used it just like that. In comparison, Lu Qi's reaction was the most intense. In the beginning, when Qingyu came back, Lu Qi treated her purely as a slave. Lu Qi had even made Qingyu wash all the clothes in the house and made things difficult for her. Qingyu did not say a single word of objection. Lu Qi, Lu Ziyun and Lu Tai knew that Qingyu was rich. After all, Qingyu was wearing branded coats when she came back. They did not expect Qingyu to be so rich. They did not expect Qingyu's friend to be so rich as well. She offered to give Qingyu a subsidiary company right off the bat. A subsidiary company was still a company. This young girl was frighteningly capable. Dad, why are you guys afraid of this person? Qingyu turned to ask Lu Tai after her interaction with Yun Jian. This person was naturally referring to Brother Tiger. Yun Jian watched with her arms crossed. Sigh. At this moment, Lu Tai sighed and shook his head. Sis, you should be asking me about this. As he spoke, Lu Ziyun scratched his head and said with a tinge of shame, Don't laugh at me. I'm also from the streets of Xian City. With that, Lu Ziyun's face turned serious. That brother who is one of the higher-ups of Xian City's number 2 triad. If he was just a higher-up, we wouldn't have to be so afraid. But the problem lies with this brother who. His sister is the daughter-in-law of the number 2 triad. The second leader dotes on his wife very much, and the second leader and the first leader of the second gang in Xian City are blood brothers, and they are as close as real brothers. If something happens to Brother Tiger, it will directly involve the big boss of Xian City's second gang. The second gang's status in Xian City is not ordinary. I'm just a small punk and my family is just an ordinary family. There's no way we can fight against the second gang in Xian City. That was why Lu Tai reacted so violently after Ce killed Brother Hu. Then what should we do? Lu Qi shouted in fear. Then Lu Qi glared fiercely at Yun Jian and Ce and shouted at them, This is all your fault. You'll have to take responsibility. Don't drag my family into this. Of course we won't let your family take responsibility. Yun Jian glanced at Lu Qi. Yun Jian naturally wouldn't let Lu Tai's family bear the consequences. But Lu Qi's words made her very unhappy. Let's go, Ce suddenly spoke, uttering the word curtly. You still want to leave? Then what about my family? We'll all be killed by the second gang. Do you even have a conscience? Lu Qi was so scared that she was about to cry. She thought Ce was really going to leave. If you don't want to die, then destroy it first. Ce held Xiao Yunju's hand and spoke in an extremely calm tone. What? Destroy the second gang? How is that possible? With just the two of you? Lu Qi's eccentric voice sounded once again. Chapter 627. Ha! Ce scoffed softly at Lu Qi's words. Ignoring Lu Qi, he pulled Xiao Yunju outside. For Yun Jian's sake, Ce had already shown mercy by not killing Lu Qi on the spot. If they stayed any longer, Ce would only feel the urge to shoot them dead. Ce had always been decisive, unlike Lu Qi's family who was overly cautious. Taking 2 steps toward the door, Ce turned back and walked to Yun Jian, holding Yun Jian's hand with his other hand and heading out. Qingyu followed when she saw Yun Jian heading out. Sister Jian, I'm going too. Since Qingyu wanted to go, Yunyi wanted to follow as well. Don't go all of you. Take care of my brother. Yun Jian suddenly told Qingyu before she took Xiao Yunju from Ce's hand and passed Xiao Yunju's to Qingyu. Qingyu listened to Yun Jian, answering as soon as Yun Jian spoke. I'll lead the way, Lu Ziyun suddenly spoke up after a few seconds of hesitation. Yun Jian did not reject him. Just as he finished speaking, the sound of an alarm came from the entrance of the village. Luo village was quiet, but the siren from the village entrance sounded abruptly. As the sound came closer, Lu Tai and his friends paled in fright. It's police cars. This sound was heard when someone got into a gang fight and injured someone in our village. Dad, the police are here. Lu Qi grabbed Lu Tai's hand and shouted in panic. There was a police station in the town near Luo village. Brother Hu and his gang who came to cause trouble were all from Luo village. Naturally, they had gone to the town's police station to report the incident. Sure enough, not long after the siren sounded, 3 unique police cars drove in from the corner. Several police officers immediately got out of the 3 police cars and pointed their stun batons at Ce Yun Jian and the others. Someone reported that you killed someone. Come back to the police station with us now. One of the more mature-looking male police officers came over and said. Then this group of police officers also checked inside and outside Lu Tai's house. He didn't find anything out of the ordinary. After Qin Yu turned Brother Hu's body into a puddle of blood, he cleaned it up without leaving a trace. Not a single trace was left at the scene. No, I'm not going. I'm not going. We didn't kill her, it was him. Was this person. You can catch him. Lu Qi pointed at Ce and shouted. The group of policemen ignored Lu Qi and took everyone present away. Ce and Yun Jian did not resist. Everyone was brought to a police station called Shangjie Town, which was closest to Luo village. 2 hours later, everyone was released without charges. The moment they walked out of the police station, Lu Tai and the other two were dumbfounded. Lu Ziyun was even more incredulous. Looking at Ce who managed to walk out unscathed after killing Brother Hu just now, Lu Ziyun's heart raced wildly. How did we get bailed out so quickly? Lu Ziyun turned to look at Ce and asked suspiciously. It was Brother Hu whom Ce had killed. Yet they were all released without charges? Ce ignored Lu Ziyun. Ce held on to Xiao Yunju with one hand and Yun Jian with the other as they walked out of the police station. Just as they stepped out of the police station, someone came up to them. Chapter 628. Ce nodded slightly as if everything was under his control. In spite of it, Adam's sudden appearance and his words shocked Lu Tai, Lu Ziyun, and Lu Qi who had followed them out of the police station. The second mafia group in Xian City was second only to the first mafia group in Xian City. In Xian City, the second mafia group was an existence that could cover half the sky with one hand. Such a large mafia group was annihilated by this man who addressed Ce as young master? How was that possible? Were you lying to? You annihilated the second mafia group? We've only been in the police station for 2 hours. How could you annihilate a powerful mafia group like the second mafia group? I don't believe it. Lu Qi said bluntly. Enough, Xiao Qi. Seeing how Lu Qi kept speaking, and how every word that came out of her mouth was overbearing, even her brother, Lu Ziyun, could not bear to watch any longer. He immediately roared at Lu Qi, "Stop it. Guyu." Lu Qi was unrepentant. "Young master, this woman dares to question you. Do you need me to kill her?" Adam was a violent man. He was not afraid that they were in the police station, so he pulled out the Desert Eagle from his belt and pointed it at Lu Qi. Lu Qi screamed again, hugging her head when she saw the real gun. "No need. Let's go," Yun Jian told Adam. How could he disobey the young madam's order? Adam did not forget that Ce had warned them not too long ago. Yun Jian's words were his orders and everyone in an Hun group had to obey. Otherwise they would be punished severely. "Yes," Adam replied, and then he kept the Desert Eagle. Lu Qi breathed a sigh of relief after walking through the gates of hell once again. She was so scared that she almost lost her life. No one cared about Lu Qi's reaction. Ce turned to look at Adam and continued, "I'll leave everything here to you. Take care of everything." Did that mean that they were leaving? Qin Yu quickly asked Yun Jian, "Sister Jian, you guys are going back to Longmen City?" "Yes." Yun Jian nodded. Since she could not stay in Qin Yu's house any longer, she naturally left. Oh. Qin Yu was reluctant. In fact, Qin Yu was truly reluctant to part with Yun Yi. If Ce and Yun Jian were leaving, did that mean that Yun Yi was leaving too? Yun Yi suddenly spoke to Yun Jian, "Xiao Jian, I'll stay here for a while. I'll return to Longmen City after everything's settled. You guys go first." When Yun Jian heard this, she immediately nodded. Yes. Therefore Yun Yi had a legitimate reason to stay. Adam also stayed behind to deal with the aftermath. Since Ce had killed Brother Hu, she should at least settle everything before leaving. On the other hand, Ce led Yun Jian and Xiao Yunju away. Before they left, Ce tossed the keys to her Lamborghini sports car to Adam for him to drive back. The reason why Adam could reach Xian City within 2 hours and annihilate the city's second-ranked mafia group was that he had taken a private helicopter over after receiving the news. The journey that was supposed to take at least 7 to 8 hours was a short while by helicopter. As for Adam's private helicopter, it was snatched away by Ce right away. Adam's private helicopter was parked in a large open space. There was a pilot in the private helicopter as well. Ce and Yun Jian came here with Xiao Yunju. Ce picked up Xiao Yunju, who was currently looking at the helicopter in amazement, swaying his head curiously. Chapter 629. Xiao Yunju shook his head quickly and answered obediently, "No." Xiao Yunju then turned to Yun Jian and asked with a pout, "How about Jiejie? Have you been in a helicopter before?" Faced with such an obedient Xiao Yunju, Yun Jian could not bear to lie. She nodded and said, "Oh?" Xiao Yunju nodded again. Ce had already squatted down to carry Xiao Yunju and put Xiao Yunju on the back seat of the helicopter that was parked on the lawn. The helicopter was parked on the ground, not too far away from the ground. Ce turned to hold Yunjian's hand and went to the back seat of the helicopter. After closing the side door, the pilot in front operated the helicopter to take off. "Oh, we're flying!" Xiao Yunju exclaimed happily by the window at the back seat of the helicopter. He even spread his arms in excitement. "Sit tight and don't move around," Yunjian could not help calling out to him. Seeing how happy Xiao Yunju was, Yunjian's heart warmed from the bottom of her heart as well. It was to the extent that Ce kept holding Yunjian's hand. Even when he rubbed her soft hand with his large palm and took advantage of her, Yunjian did not notice it at all. The helicopter reached Longmen City in just an hour. The helicopter had to land on a flat and spacious ground. It could not land anywhere. Therefore, the pilot who had been flying the helicopter without uttering a word found an empty spot to land. After Ce pulled Yunjian and Xiao Yunju down, the pilot drove the helicopter away. Jejia Sigij, Xiao Zhu wants to fly a helicopter in the future too. Xiao Yunju's eyes shone as if he had found his lifelong goal. He was beside himself with excitement. Yunjian rubbed Xiao Yunju's head with a warm smile. It was already 8 o'clock in the evening. Initially they had planned to stay the night at Qing Yu's house and return home the next day. However, with so many things happening and Lu Qi around, they could not stay at Lu Tai's house any longer. Therefore Yunjian and Ce brought Xiao Yunju back to Longmen City. When he got home he saw Qin Yiru and Gu Junjian sitting on the sofa in the living room chatting happily. After a whole day of thinking, Qin Yiru came to a decision. Although she had not known Gu Junjian for long, it was hard to meet a soulmate. This kind of relationship was also fate. Qin Yiru had listened to Zhang Meihua back then and married Yun Gang dutifully. Not only did she ruin her own life, she almost ruined Yi and Xiao Jian's lives as well. Gu Junjian was an upright person. If she still considered him, wouldn't she be humiliating herself? Therefore Qin Yiru agreed to Gu Junjian swiftly. Both of them were watching TV on the sofa in the living room, thinking of coming up with an excuse and telling Yunjian and Yunyi when they came back to seek their approval. Unexpectedly, once the door opened, Yunjian and Ce came back with Xiao Yunju. Qin Yiru and Gu Junjian were still stuck close to each other. Caught out of the blue, Qin Yiru jumped in fright and almost slipped on the floor. Gu Junjian reacted quickly and caught Qin Yiru's hand. Xiao Jian, why are you guys back so soon?" Qin Yiru asked guiltily. Gu said he wants to stay there for a few days, so we came back first," Yunjian explained briefly. Qin Yiru's expression turned serious as she told Yunjian with mixed feelings, "Xiao Jian, Mom has something to tell you." Chapter 630. What? Xiao Jian, you know about it? Qin Yiru was still hanging her head, thinking about how she should tell Yunjian about it. She did not expect Yunjian to already know about it. "Mom, as long as you're doing well and happy, I won't object. I'll support you with everything I have," Yunjian said from the bottom of her heart. Humans had feelings. Although Yunjian was a secret agent in her past life, she had already treated Qin Yiru as her biological mother in this life. What Qin Yiru did for her and her brother could not be expressed in a few words. Yunjian also knew that no one would do more for her than Qin Yiru. This was motherly love. Of course, if Ce heard what Yunjian said from the bottom of her heart, he would be the first to stand up for her. After Yunjian said what she said, Qin Yiru's eyes were already moist. Her Xiao Jian had really grown up. Qin Yiru still remembered that her daughter was quite willful when she was young and her results had always been mediocre. It was only when the first semester of the 3rd year of junior high school started that her results gradually improved. Before she transferred from Xinjiang town to Longmen City, she had even gotten first place in the 5-school joint examination. Qin Yiru was so proud back then. Xiao Jian. Qin Yiru's tears were about to fall. "Mom, don't cry. If you cry, I might disagree." Yunjian chuckled. Amused by Yunjian, Qin Yiru held back her tears and smiled through her tears. Gu Junjian had been standing beside Qin Yiru, patting Qin Yiru's shoulder to comfort her. "I wonder if Xiao Yi will agree," Qin Yiru muttered to herself with a frown when the atmosphere changed. After all, to Qin Yiru, if either her son or daughter disagreed with her marriage to Gu Junjian, there was no chance of it happening. To Qin Yiru, Yunjian and Yunyi were her life support and hope. "Mom, brother will definitely agree. I'm sure of it," Yunjian said with a smile. Her brother Yunyi still wanted Qin Yiru to agree to him and Qin Yu. Moreover, Yunyi would definitely want Qin Yiru to live well. Qin Yuru was relieved even though she did not hear Yun Yi's reply. "Mom, let's go upstairs then," Yun Jian said to Qin Yuru and held Xiao Yunju's hand as they went upstairs. Qin Yuru nodded. She was already happily sitting down to discuss the marriage with Gu Junjian. Gu Yunjian's parents were no longer around. Qin Yuru and Gu Junjian were both married for the second time, so their wedding could be slightly simpler. However, the necessary ceremony had to be completed. Of course, it was still early for the wedding. At this moment, Yun Jian was already holding Xiao Yunju's hand as they walked to his room. Xiao Yunju was already sleeping alone. It was already past 8 o'clock at night. Xiao Yunju was still in his puberty stage, so he was already dozing off. Yun Jian accompanied Xiao Yunju to his small bed in his room, turned off the lights and closed the door for Xiao Yunju before returning to her room. "Xiao Zhu is asleep?" Siyi stood at the door and asked when she saw Yun Jian coming out. Yun Jian nodded. Yun Jian yawned after she finished speaking, feeling sleepy all of a sudden. "I'm going back to my room too. Good night." Yun Jian turned to tell Ce before she turned a corner and returned to her room sleepily. Chapter 631. Yun Jian's back was facing Ce just now, so she had her back to Ce when she entered the room. She had planned to lean her back against the door to close it and lock it, but she did not expect Ce to be one step ahead of her and enter the room first. Just as Ce entered the room, he scooped Yun Jian up and pressed Yun Jian onto the big bed not far away. Ce's arms were wrapped around Yun Jian's waist as he pressed Yun Jian on the bed. Yun Jian's back happened to be leaning against him. Yun Jian was still wearing her pajamas earlier, but her sleepiness was all gone when she was suddenly pressed down. It was also at that moment that her cheeks flushed. The white lights in the room were on and the temperature was rising bit by bit. Yun Jian could even feel Ce's breathing growing heavier on her back. "Xiao Jian." Ce's masculine voice sounded like a starving beast that suddenly found food but dared not strike. Yun Jian was startled. She could clearly feel that Ce's actions today were more uncontrollable than before. "You." Before Yun Jian could speak, Ce had already flipped Yun Jian over and kissed Yun Jian's beautiful lips fiercely, tossing and turning. Unlike the gentle kisses in the past, this kiss was heavy and ferocious, like a torrential river. Yun Jian's heart was about to stop. As they kissed, Yun Jian's gaze gradually blurred. While Yun Jian was being kissed passionately, she suddenly felt a chill in front of her chest. Unbeknownst to her, her jacket and thermal underwear had been taken off. Yun Jian was startled as Ce's large palm moved to her bra. She pressed Ce's palm down in time. Ce was obviously intoxicated by the fragrant body. This was something he had never experienced before. Other than the tights on her lower body that were still intact, Yun Jian's upper body was only left with a bra. Her ample bosom was wrapped by the bra as she lay beneath Ce, fueling Ce's desire. Finally extricating herself from Ce's lips, Yun Jian was pinned down and unable to move. Still, she panted a few times and blurted out what she wanted to say. "What's wrong with you?" Ce hugged her and bent over, burying his head on Yun Jian's collarbone under her chin and asked, "Is your mom moving to Gu Yunjian's house after she gets married?" Yeah. What's wrong?" Yun Jian nodded. "Are you going to follow her?" This was what Ce wanted to ask the most. Gu Junjian and Qin Yuru's wedding date shouldn't be too long. If Yun Jian were to move out, how long would it take for him to see her again? "If my mom moves to Officer Ji's house, I'll naturally follow her. Not only me but Xiao Zhu will also go. Alright, my brother will too. After all, this isn't my house. My mom has been here for so long that she's actually quite embarrassed." Before Yun Jian could finish her sentence, she felt a shadow covering her lips again. What followed was a long period of demanding. It was only when Yun Jian was about to suffocate from the kiss that Ce finally let go of her lips. Yun Jian didn't understand what Ce meant. If Qin Yiru were to marry Gu Junjian, she would naturally move out. And Yun Jian would definitely move out with Qin Yiru. Xiao Yunju and Yun Yi would also move out. Yun Jian couldn't figure out what he was angry about. Just as Ce lowered his head to cover her lips again, Yun Jian suddenly turned her head and asked him, "What's wrong with you today?" Chapter 632. Just as Ce was about to kiss her passionately, the door suddenly opened. The door opened all of a sudden as Yun Zhu popped his head in. When Ce entered the room, he locked the door. However, his heart was on Yun Jian when he locked the door, so he only locked it halfway. The door wasn't locked properly. Xiao Yunju was about to fall asleep in his room when he suddenly remembered that he had something to tell his sister. He ran to Yun Jian's room to tell her about it. When the door opened, Xiao Yunju's head popped in. He opened the door excitedly and said, Sister, Xiao Zhu forgot to tell you that the school is having a parent-child sports day next week. Can sister and brother Ce attend Xiao Zhu's sports day together? Before Xiao Zhu could finish his sentence, he had already opened the door and peeked in. However, before he could finish his sentence, he was shocked by the scene in front of him. His brother Ce was on top of his sister. Brother Ce, how could you hit sister? Xiao Yunju's words came to an abrupt end as he ran in with his short legs. When she heard Xiao Yunju's voice, Yun Jian jumped in fright. She hurriedly pushed Ce. At this moment, Xiao Yunju had already run to the side of the big bed. He walked over and cried, Boo-hoo, brother Ce, please don't hit sister. Xiao Zhu will be obedient. Brother Ce, please don't hit sister. When Xiao Yunju cried, Qin Yiru and Gu Junjian, who were downstairs, also burst into tears. At this moment, Ce immediately got up from Yun Jian's body and covered Xiao Yunju's eyes. Yun Jian used this time to quickly put on the clothes that Ce had taken off and sat on the bed with a guilty conscience. Qin Yiru and Gu Junjian heard the commotion and ran upstairs. What's wrong? What's wrong? Qin Yiru was so frightened that she threw away the TV remote control in her hand. When she heard Xiao Yunju's cries, she immediately ran upstairs as fast as she could. Gu Junjian also ran upstairs as fast as he could to Yun Jian's bedroom. When he reached Yun Jian's bedroom, Qin Yiru asked, What's wrong? Xiao Zhu, what's wrong? When he reached the door, he saw Ce carrying Xiao Yunju in the room. Yun Jian was sitting upright on the bed like a student who had been caught absent-mindedly by the teacher. When she saw Qin Yiru appear at the door, Yun Jian smiled and said to Qin Yiru, Mom, it's nothing. We were just playing a game with Xiao Zhu. He cried when Xiao Zhu lost. Yun Jian then turned to look at Xiao Zhu and said symbolically, I told you that a man shouldn't cry. Xiao Zhu, do you understand? Yun Jian had no choice but to use her brother as a shield. Xiao Yunju didn't know about this at all. He only knew that Ce was biting his sister. The teacher said that biting meant hitting, so Xiao Yunju told him the truth. No, Jie, you're lying. Xiao Zhu was sleeping and suddenly remembered that Xiao Zhu had something to tell Jie. So Xiao Zhu came to Jie's room and saw Ce Gij hitting Jie. You hit Xiao Jian? Qin Yiru was shocked. Chapter 633. Little Yunju's self-righteous words stunned Qin Yiru, who was rooted to the spot in bewilderment. Yun Jian wanted to facepalm and sigh. Xiao Yunju, on the other hand, had no idea that he had said something wrong. Instead, he complained even more vigorously, Mama Qin, Ce Gij is mean. As he spoke, Xiao Yunju struggled out of Ce's embrace and ran to Yun Jian to grab Yun Jian's hand. He looked at Yun Jian with his chubby cheeks and told Yun Jian, Jie, does it hurt? Ce Gij is mean. I'll hit him for you. As he spoke, Xiao Yunju ran to Ce and patted Ce's sleeve softly before running to Yun Jian to tell her, Hehe Jie, Ce Gij was hit by Xiao Zhu. It doesn't hurt. Xiao Yunju broke into a bright grin as he spoke. Qin Yiru, who stood at the door and did not enter the house, was completely dumbfounded. She had just snapped out of the joy of Yun Jian agreeing to her marriage with Gu Junjian when she heard this all of a sudden. And Xiao Jian, how could this be? Qin Yiru stared at the scene in shock, unable to snap out of her panic for a long time. Gu Junjian, who stood beside Qin Yiru, knew about Ce and Yun Jian's situation and could only sigh with a hand on his forehead. How could Xiao Zhu be so good at making things happen? She was actually able to tell the whole story so quickly. Perhaps Xiao Yunju felt that he was not strong enough, so he asked innocently, Jie, why aren't you saying anything? Did Xiao Zhu not hurt Ce Gij? But the teacher said it's not good to bite. Ce Gij can bite Jie, but Xiao Zhu can't bite Ce Gij. The teacher said that biting is a bad child and needs to be spanked. Xiao Zhu's innocent words made Yun Jian feel even more awkward. Being grabbed by Qin Yiru, all of a sudden Yun Jian was caught off guard. Yun Jian had learned how to kill and how to kill someone with a single blow. She had also learned medical skills and hacking, but she had never learned how to handle such a situation. Cough. Xiao Zhu, come out. Uncle will accompany you to sleep. Gu Junjian knew that it would be terrible if the situation continued. If Xiao Yunju said anything else, Qin Yiru would probably overthink. Therefore, Gu could only take Xiao Yunju away first. What? Uncle Gu, Xiao Zhu won't leave. If Xiao Zhu leaves, what will happen if Ce Gij bullies Jie? Xiao Yunju pouted and frowned. His expression was uglier than anyone else's. It was as if Ce had really bullied Yun Jian. With your mother here, your Ce Gij won't bully your Jie. Gu Junjian was speechless. He looked at Xiao Yunju and waved at Xiao Yunju again. But Xiao Yunju turned his tender face to Yun Jian. Seeing that Yun Jian seemed fine, he nodded and walked over to Gu Junjian. All right. When he walked over to Gu Junjian, Xiao Yunju couldn't help but turn to Qin Yiru and say, Mother Qin, don't let Si Gij bully Jejia. Jejia will be in pain. Xiao Zhu will go to sleep first. With that, Xiao Yunju rubbed his eyes. At this moment, Xiao Yunju was carried by Gu Junjian. Chapter 634. Qin Yiru watched in a daze as Gu Junjian brought Xiao Yunju back to his room to sleep. It was only then that Qin Yiru shifted her gaze back to Yun Jian and Si. Looking at Si and Yun Jian, she opened her mouth and finally uttered, Come out with me. Qin Yiru spoke in a serious tone when she said that. Her stern tone made Yun Jian's eyelids twitch. She had never heard Qin Yiru speak to anyone in such a serious tone. After all, Qin Yiru had always presented herself as meek. It was not that Qin Yiru could only present herself as meek. It was just that Yun Jian was not used to her being so stern all of a sudden. In spite of it, Yun Jian followed her out as well. Si's tall frame trailed behind Yun Jian. He did not utter a word facing Qin Yiru. If it were not for Qin Yiru, Yun Jian's mother, he would never have followed her so obediently. Who was he? Lung Pavilion's young master, the leader of an Hun group. No matter which identity he had, it was enough to shock the entire world. Today, however, he listened to Qin Yiru obediently and followed her downstairs. Come over here, stand here. Qin Yiru frowned, a rare sense of unease evident on her face. Yun Jian could not help gulping as well. Xiao Jian is my child. She's an obedient child. I've always thought that you're an upright child, but you've disappointed me so much. Qin Yiru looked at Si as she spoke to Si, looking uneasy. To Qin Yiru, her daughter and son were her life. She was even willing to exchange her own life for the lives of her daughter and son. Qin Yiru instantly understood what Xiao Yunju said just now as Si had forced Yun Jian, which was why she spoke to Si so earnestly. Auntie, Si spoke, but before he could finish, he was interrupted by Qin Yiru. Other than Yun Jian, the only person who dared to interrupt Si was Qin Yiru, whom Yun Jian cared about. Qin Yiru had no idea that if she was not Yun Jian's birth mother, she would not even be standing here lecturing Si. Right now, the young master of Cold Pavilion, the leader of an Hun group, was standing in front of Qin Yiru and being taught a lesson by Qin Yiru as an elder. Don't say it yet. Qin Yiru called out before she continued, I've already told you everything. Auntie likes you a lot, child, but how could you do this to Xiao Jian? What if you get Xiao Jian pregnant? What are we going to do? Xiao Jian is still a virgin. Qin Yiru's tears were about to fall as she spoke. She tugged at Yun Jian's hand as the misunderstanding deepened. Xiao Jian, let's go. We're leaving today. We can't stay in this house anymore. I'll take you away. Qin Yiru thought that Yun Jian had been eaten by Si. As she spoke, Qin Yiru was about to pull Yun Jian upstairs. Qin Yiru was filled with regret. She had always thought that Si was an obedient child. She did not expect him to do something like this. Or Xiao Jian. How could this happen? Qin Yiru felt deeply moved, like she was living under someone else's roof. She hated herself. She shouldn't have come here and sent her daughter into the wolf's mouth. Once she thought about how this was not the first time Si had done something so overboard to Xiao Jian, Qin Yiru was so angry that she could barely breathe. Chapter 635. Qin Yiru thought that Xiao Jian was being forced and was not willing, so she had the urge to run away with her daughter when it came to Si. Mom? Yun Jian was shocked by Qin Yiru's emotional outburst as well. To Yun Jian, Qin Yiru had always been an amiable person. She did not expect Qin Yiru to go this far for her. Just as Qin Yiru was about to drag Yun Jian up to the second floor to pack her luggage and leave, she pulled Yun Jian up the stairs before she could explain herself. Si was currently standing on the flat ground on the first floor. With long strides, he reached the stairs in 2 steps and grabbed the railing of the stairs with his large, well-defined palm before stepping lightly on the ground with 1 foot. In the next second, he leaped to the 5th step of the stairs from the flat ground, blocking Qin Yiru, who was about to run up the stairs. Auntie, Si called out softly. Qin Yiru was obviously fuming, but she could not bring herself to throw a tantrum at Si. After all, the child treated Xiao Yunju, Yun Jian and their family well. Moreover, after spending so many days together, humans were sentimental creatures. To Qin Yiru, she treated Si as her own child. Qin Yiru also knew that Si did not have a mother since he was young. It was said that he came from a wealthy family. Qin Yiru did not know much about it, but Qin Yiru heard from Dong Ruan that Siyi's father had never treated him like his own child. Therefore, all this while, Qin Yiru truly treated Siyi as her own child and doted on him. Qin Yiru was indeed fuming just now, which was why she pulled Yun Jian away without waiting for Siyi to speak. Qin Yiru's anger had subsided quite a bit now. Although she planned to listen to Siyi, Qin Yiru still turned her head away. "Auntie, I'm sincere to Xiao Jian. If there's any falsehood in what I'm saying now, you can kill me right now." Siyi's words were shocking. As he spoke, he even took out the silver pistol on his belt and passed it to Qin Yiru. When Siyi said that, his deep eyes shone with sincerity. Qin Yiru's expression softened slightly. It's not that I don't agree with you guys being together. You said that you're sincere to Xiao Jian, but what about Xiao Jian? How can you force her?" Qin Yiru said with a frown. This was the real reason why Qin Yiru was angry. It was not that Qin Yiru disliked Siyi, nor was she against it. Qin Yiru had completely misunderstood. She thought that Siyi had forced Yun Jian to do a lot of things that she should not have done already. Qin Yiru thought that Siyi had already started to grope her daughter before she knew it. This was what infuriated Qin Yiru the most. As a mother, how could she feel good when she saw this? Of course, if Yun Jian was willing, Qin Yiru was a different story. Qin Yiru was not against puppy love. Forced? Siyi frowned. He had passed his gun to Qin Yiru without a trace. Qin Yiru, on the other hand, did not even notice why Siyi had a gun. Chapter 636. It was awkward to say it, but Yun Jian said it anyway. Yun Jian knew that if she did not say it, Qin Yiru's misunderstanding of Siyi would probably worsen. Huh. Qin Yiru froze on the spot when she heard what Yun Jian said and looked at Yun Jian. Qin Yiru was completely dumbfounded after that. From the beginning, Qin Yiru thought that it was Siyi who forced Yun Jian to say those things. Now, however, she was told that her assumption was wrong. Did Xiao Jian do it willingly? What? Qin Yiru swallowed hard and turned to look at Yun Jian in disbelief, her gaze filled with realization and shock. "Xiao Jian, what did you say? Willingly? Did she blame Siyi wrongly just now?" Qin Yiru continued. Mom, I didn't tell you before. He didn't force me, so you misunderstood." Since she had said it, Yun Jian told her everything. This. Qin Yiru widened her eyes in shock after she heard what Yun Jian said. Her daughter had been with Siyi for so long right under her nose? I think I came out at the wrong time? While Qin Yiru was at a loss for words from her shock, Gu Yunjian's voice came from the staircase on the second floor. Qin Yiru was feeling awkward as well. After all, she had misunderstood Siyi. Gu Yunjian's appearance eased Qin Yiru's awkwardness a little. "Is Xiao Zhu asleep?" Qin Yiru changed the topic immediately. "He's already asleep. Xiao Zhu's a good boy," Gu Yunjian said and came down the stairs. Taking in the atmosphere, Gu Yunjian asked with a faint smile, "How's it going?" If Gu Yunjian were to ask his impression of Siyi, he had a good impression of Siyi. With Gu Yunjian's question, he brought the topic back to the original topic. Qin Yiru coughed awkwardly and turned her gaze to Siyi and Yun Jian again. She did not notice what she was holding, Siyi's silver pistol. Gu Yunjian was shocked when he saw the gun as well. He took the silver pistol from Qin Yiru's hand without a trace. Then Gu Yunjian draped his arm over Qin Yiru's shoulder. Qin Yiru shifted her gaze to Siyi as well before looking at Yun Jian. She told Siyi, to be honest, I quite like you too. I won't stop you from being with Xiao Jian, but she's still young, so don't do certain things if you don't have to." Qin Yiru was ashamed of herself toward the end. Of course, it was fine as long as everyone understood what she meant. Siyi grabbed Yun Jian's hand and promised in front of Qin Yiru, "I'll protect Xiao Jian with my life. She's my everything now and she'll be my future." Although Siyi did not make any earth-shattering vow in front of Qin Yiru, his words were heartwarming, like a quiet stream that flowed warmly and gave people a comforting sense of trust. Forget it. We're getting old. Think about your matters yourselves. I won't interfere." Qin Yiru was not an old-fashioned person, so she let it go. Chapter 637. Qin Yiru had actually gotten married and pregnant at an early age. Qin Yiru had dropped out of high school and disregarded Dong Ruan's advice, following Zhang Meihua's arrangement to marry Yun Gang. Qin Yiru regretted it a little after they got married, but she had always chosen to believe in Yun Gang, believing that he would treat her well. What she did not expect was that Yun Gang loved to gamble. Not only did he frequently go to the casino to gamble, he even stole money from home and became worse each time. It broke Qin Yiru's heart, but it did not directly cause the marriage to fail. What really caused the marriage to end was that Yun Gang cheated on her. Qin Yiru could not believe it at first. She actually trusted Yun Gang, but she did not expect Yun Gang to really have a mistress behind her back. It was only when the mistress came to her that Qin Yiru realized her mistake. She should have divorced Yun Gang a long time ago, but she did not. Qin Yiru's mother-in-law, Lu Lanhua, even lectured her in front of her, saying, "Which man doesn't cheat?" At that moment, Qin Yiru was truly enraged, but she was a timid person. She still divorced Yun Gang with Xiao Jian's help. After going through such a complicated marriage that dragged her down for half her life, Qin Yiru finally saw through it. At the same time, Qin Yiru was determined not to stop her Xiao Jian if she could find someone she liked. When she found out that the person was Ce, Qin Yiru was quite fond of him too. Ce was handsome, but that was secondary. Most importantly, he had a good character. To Qin Yiru, it did not matter how he looked as long as he treated Xiao Jian well. Ce was undoubtedly the best candidate. Moreover, Yun Jian and Ce were in love with each other now. When she heard what Qin Yiru said, Yun Jian, who stood on the stairs, took a step back, nearly missing her footing. Qin Yiru actually said that she would raise their child for them if she got pregnant? That was not the problem though. Yun Jian realized that Qin Yiru had deeply misunderstood her and Ce. "Mom?" Yun Jian was about to speak, but Qin Yiru stopped her. "Xiao Jian, I know you're a big girl now and you know how to be shy. I won't tease you anymore. Alright, go back and rest too." Qin Yiru and Gu Junjian went downstairs and sat on the sofa to watch TV together. Only Yun Jian and Ce were left standing where they were. A second later, Ce reached out to hold Yun Jian's hand swiftly. Holding Yun Jian's hand softly, he walked up the stairs. When Yun Jian was not looking, his lips curled into a smile that was eye-catching. This time, Ce did not go to Yun Jian's room. Holding Yun Jian's hand, he went straight to his own room. Applying what one had learned was an effective way to apply it to Ce. When Yun Jian reached her room and was about to go in, Ce had already pulled her hand and turned to enter his room. "You." Yun Jian's soft voice was completely blocked behind the door. Once they entered the room, Ce held her hand and led her to the bed. It was Yun Jian's first time entering Ce's bedroom. She looked around and saw that the room was decorated in navy blue. It looked rather simple. There was only a big bed in front of them and a long and wide desk beside it. Other than that, there was nothing else. Chapter 638. Ce hugged her from behind and Yun Jian shivered once again. Ce's embrace was very warm. His embrace carried the warmth of a man, and Yun Jian's body curled up tightly. Ce made sure to lock the door this time in order to prevent the previous awkward situation from happening again. He hugged her and threw himself onto the big bed. Falling onto Ce's big bed, Yun Jian seemed to smell Ce's unique fragrance. It was a faint but pleasant scent. "You." Yun Jian was halfway through her sentence when Ce flipped over and hugged Yun Jian's slender waist. "Sleep." Ce spoke softly. His magnetic voice was like the soft spring rain, giving people a cool and soothing sense of tranquility. "Okay." Seeing that Ce was silent, Yun Jian spoke up. After that, Ce fell silent. Yun Jian lay in Ce's arms, and it was so quiet that she could hear his breathing. Yun Jian closed her eyes and fell into a deep sleep. The next day, the scorching sun rose from the east. Although it was a cold winter, it was a new day and there were already signs of spring coming. When Yun Jian woke up, Ce was sitting beside her, watching her. She immediately sat up. After brushing her teeth and washing her face, Yun Jian tied her hair into a high ponytail and walked out of the room with Ce. At this moment, Yun Jian was wearing a simple set of loose sportswear. She had specially bought this outfit for her morning run. Ce was wearing a white sweater with a black jacket over it. This black jacket accentuated his tall and slender figure. Yun Jian and Ce went downstairs together and planned to go for a morning run. As soon as they walked out of the villa, Yun Jian and Ce's attention was drawn to the military jeep parked at the entrance. When they turned to look, they saw Gu Junjian sitting in the car. He was waving at Yun Jian and Ce. Thinking that there was another mission from the military, Yun Jian walked over with a lift of her legs. Who knew that Gu Junjian was waving at Ce? Although Gu Junjian and Qin Yiru had confirmed their relationship, it was not appropriate for him to stay in the villa for the night. After all, this was Dong Ruan's house. This was different from Zhang Meihua's house. Actually, even if Dong Ruan knew that Gu Junjian was staying here, she would not do anything about it. However, Qin Yiru felt that it was inappropriate. "Officer Gu, what's wrong?" Yun Jian asked suspiciously when she saw Gu Junjian waving at Ce. Look at this. It's yours, isn't it? Gu Junjian asked. He was still sitting in the military jeep with the windows down. Gu Junjian took out CE's silver pistol and told CE. CE reached out to take the silver pistol from Gu Junjian. Hey, why did you give the gun to Yuri yesterday? Weren't you afraid that it would go off accidentally? Also, we don't allow guns here. You better hide it well, don't let anyone see it. After Gu Junjian said that to CE, he laughed heartily and honked the car horn. He then drove off after saying goodbye. He was here to return CE's pistol. Yun Jian was stunned. She did not bring a pistol with her when she was out on a mission. There was not much time to use a gun in the military. As for the butterfly knife, Yun Jian always carried it with her. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.